From a canon few have heard, a rare text in the Ethiopian Bible, preserved for centuries in Ge'ez. Not legend, not apocryphal rumor, a witness to faith under fire. An empire demands worship. Idols rise in gold and smoke, and a remnant refuses to kneel. Brothers bound by covenant, a people tested as steel meets flame. Edicts thunder, altars to false gods glitter. The choice is carved into every heart: bow or burn. Prepare to step inside the trial, to feel the heat, the holy resolve, and the moment idols fall. From a canon the world forgot, until now. This is the first book of Meqabyan. Chapter 1. There was a man named Sidon, Antiochus IV Epiphanes, a lover of wickedness, who boasted proudly about his many horses and the strength of the soldiers under his command. He had a multitude of priests who ministered to his idols. Idols he worshipped, bowing down and offering sacrifices to them both night and day. In the blindness of his heart, he believed these idols gave him lasting power and stability. In his mind, they were the source of all his dominion and control, and whenever they were represented in physical form, he believed they bestowed upon him all the authority he desired. So he continued offering sacrifices to them without ceasing, day and night. He appointed priests to carry out these acts of worship to his idols. These priests, while feasting on the defiled offerings, deceived him, pretending the idols were consuming the food both day and night. They also recruited others to follow their example, to make offerings, to feast, and to continue the same pattern of worship and sacrifice. Yet Sidon placed his trust in lifeless idols, things that could neither help nor bring any real gain. Because his days were short and his understanding darkened, it seemed to him that the idols had created him, nourished him, and crowned him. He believed they were the source of his existence. For Satan had dulled his reasoning, so he would not recognize his true creator, he who brought him from death into life, nor would he or his kinsmen acknowledge the one who made them, bringing them from nothing into being. And so they were led toward the eternal fire of Gehenna, along with all who called those false gods by the name deity, though they were not gods at all. Since they never bring any good, it is fitting to call them what they are, dead things. For the power of Satan, who leads them astray, dwells in those lifeless images. He speaks what they want to hear, and reveals to them the desires of their hearts. Therefore Yah will bring judgment upon the idols in which they trusted, idols in whom the children of Adam placed their hope, though their thinking was no more than ashes. And when they see that the idols gave them what they had longed for, they will be amazed. But according to their desires, they will go so far as to sacrifice their own sons and daughters, children born from their own bodies, shedding the blood of sons and daughters who were pure and innocent. And this did not grieve them, for Satan delighted in their offerings to the idols. Through them he fulfilled his wicked schemes, leading them downward into Gehenna, just as he was cast down into a place with no escape for all eternity, where he will suffer torment. But Sidon was proud and boastful. He had 50 idols fashioned as male figures, and 20 made in the form of women. He gloried in these useless images, honoring them as he made sacrifices morning and evening. He gave commands that others must also offer sacrifices to these idols, and he ate from those defiled offerings. He ordered others to eat as well, stirring them up toward even greater evil. He had 5 houses built to contain his idols, each one crafted from beaten iron, brass, and lead. He adorned them with silver and gold, hung curtains around the houses, and set up a special tent to enshrine them. He appointed guards to watch over the idols, and he regularly offered 40 sacrifices to them, 10 fattened oxen, 10 barren cows, 10 plump ewes, and 10 sterile goats, along with various birds of the air. He believed his idols actually consumed these offerings, so he brought them 50 measure of grapes and 50 platters of wheat mixed with oil. And he said to his priests, "Take these and give them to my idols. Make them eat what I have slaughtered for them, and make them drink the wine I have poured out. And if it isn't enough, I'll add even more." He commanded everyone to eat and drink from those defiled sacrifices. But in his wickedness, he sent out his soldiers across every kingdom to find anyone who did not bow down or offer sacrifice. If they found such a person, they were to bring him back, so he could be punished before the king's eyes with fire and sword. His wealth would be plundered, his house burned, and all he owned destroyed. He declared, "These gods are good and mighty. They created us in kindness, and anyone who does not worship them or offer sacrifice will suffer punishment and misery. For these gods made the heaven and the earth, the vast sea, the sun and the moon, the stars, the rains, the winds, and every living thing in this world to be our food and our satisfaction. But all who worship them will face severe judgment and terrible suffering." Chapter 2. There was a man from the tribe of Benjamin whose name was Maccabeus. He had 3 sons, strong, noble, and striking in appearance, true warriors, and they were loved and respected above all others in the land of Midian, which was under the rule of Tzeret-Sidon. But when the king's soldiers found them, they said, "Do you not bow down to Tzeret-Sidon's idols? Do you not offer sacrifices as he commands? If you refuse, we will arrest you and bring you before the king. Your goods will be seized and destroyed, just as the king has decreed." But the young men, in all their beauty and boldness, replied, "The one to whom we bow is our Father's Creator, he who made the heavens and the earth and all that is in them, the sea, the moon, the sun, the clouds, and the stars. He alone is the true Creator, and him we worship and believe in." There were 4 young men altogether, standing against 100 of the king's soldiers armed with shields and spears. When the soldiers moved to seize these holy men, the warriors escaped from their grasp. No one could lay a hand on them, for they were mighty in strength, and they turned the tables by seizing shields and spears themselves. One among them had once strangled a panther with his bare hands as easily as one might kill a chicken. Another had slain a lion with a single stone, finishing it off with a single strike from a staff. Yet another had struck down 100 men with a single sword. The ones they fought came from the lands of Babylon and Midian. These young men were truly mighty warriors, and they carried themselves with strength, beauty, and honor. Their appearance was striking and full of wonder, but it was because they worshipped Yah and did not fear death. That fearless faith is what made their beauty surpass all others. After they had escaped the troops, no one could capture them. The warriors fled to a high mountain where they took refuge. The soldiers returned to the city and locked the gates of the fortress. Then they threatened the people, saying, "If you do not hand over the Maccabean warriors, we will burn your city to the ground. We will report to the king, and your whole land will be destroyed." Then all the people of the land, rich and poor alike, sons and daughters, orphans and widows, came out together, lifting their voices. They stretched their necks toward the mountain and cried out to the warriors, saying, "Do not bring ruin upon us. Do not let our land be destroyed because of this." At their cries, the warriors wept together. A holy fear stirred within them, and they lifted their hearts to Yah. Turning their faces toward the east, they raised their hands and cried out to Yah with one voice, saying, "Lord, shall we submit to those who tear down your commandments and disregard your law? This man puts his trust in silver and gold, in idols of stone and wood, things shaped by human hands. But we refuse to listen to that wicked one who rejects your law." They said, "You alone are the Creator, the one who gives life and who takes it away. Yet he exalts himself like one of those false gods he believes made him. In truth, he is the one who sheds blood and devours the flesh of men. We want nothing to do with him. We do not want to look upon the face of that criminal or hear his words." They said, "But if you command us to go to him, we will obey, because we trust in you. Even if it means walking to our deaths, we will go. But when he commands us to offer sacrifice to his idols, we will not listen to that wicked voice. Yet we believe in you, O Lord, you who examine the innermost thoughts and understanding, the Creator of our fathers, of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who walked in your ways and stood firm in your law. You discern every thought of the heart. You help both the sinner who turns and the righteous who stands, and nothing is hidden from your sight. Those who seek refuge are known by you. We have no other Creator but you alone, so we are willing to give our bodies over to death for the sake of your holy name. But grant us strength, stability, and shelter in this trial, for you alone are our ruler. Just as you heard Jacob's cry when Israel entered Egypt, so now we cry out, "Be glorified in us, O God, we beg you." And then suddenly the warriors saw two men with radiant appearance standing before them. Blazing swords of fire like lightning flashed forth and struck their enemies, cutting through their necks and slaying them. But at once those two men stood whole again, as they were before. Their beauty became even greater. They shone brighter than the sun, and their appearance was more glorious than ever. Chapter 3. Behold, before your eyes stand the servants of Yah, Abia, Sela, and Phentos, who were once dead and have risen again. This is given as a sign to you, that you too may rise after death, and that your faces will shine like the sun in the kingdom of heaven. These men went forth with the troops and received the crown of martyrdom there. In that hour they lifted their hearts in worship, they gave praise, they bowed to Yah. Death did not shake them, nor did the king's threats strike fear in their hearts. They approached the soldiers like spotless lambs, unafraid and pure. When the troops reached them, they captured them, beat them, bound them, and whipped them. Then they were taken to the king and brought before his throne. The king questioned them, saying, "Why do you stubborn men refuse the sacrifice? and bow before my idols? But these brothers, cleansed from sin, honored, chosen, and full of joy, shone like rare jewels of surpassing worth. Selah, Abiah, and Phentos replied to him with one voice. They said to that cursed king, "We will not bow, nor will we offer sacrifice to defiled idols, lifeless things without wisdom or understanding." And again they said to him, "We will not bow to idols made of silver and gold, mere works of human hands, nor to stone or wood, which have no reason, no soul, no understanding. They cannot help their friends or harm their enemies." The king replied to them, saying, "Why do you speak this way? These gods know who insults them and who does them wrong. Why do you dare insult the divine idols?" They answered him, "To us they are worthless and empty things. We will mock them. We will not honor them." Then the king said, "I will punish you in proportion to your wickedness. I will ruin your beauty with lashes, with fierce torment, and with fire. Now tell me plainly, will you offer sacrifice to my idols, or will you not? If you refuse, I will strike you down with the sword and scourge you with whips." But they replied, "We will not offer sacrifice, nor will we bow to defiled idols." Then the king ordered that they be beaten with heavy rods, then whipped with cords, and after that torn until their inner organs were exposed. After this, he bound them and kept them for a time in prison until he was compelled to issue a reward and finally had them executed. They seized the men harshly, binding them tightly and locking them away in the prison house, where they remained for 3 days and 3 nights. After the 3rd day, the king gave orders for a proclamation to be made, that the counselors, nobles, elders of the land, and officials be gathered together. Then, when King Tseretsean was seated in the public square, he commanded that the 3 honored men, Selah, Abiah, and Phentos, be brought before him. They stood in his presence, wounded and still bound. The king asked them, "Now that you've sat for 3 days, has your mind changed, or do you still cling to your former rebellion?" But the honored soldiers of Yah replied, "As for the suffering you've caused us, we will not yield, nor will we bow to the sinful and evil idols that you hold in esteem." Enraged, the wicked king gave orders that they be raised up unto a high place, and that their wounds be reopened, their blood spilled out upon the ground. Then the king ordered that they be burned with torches, to scorch and blacken their flesh, and his servants did just as he commanded. But those honored men said to him, "You who do not regard the law of Yah, listen well. Our reward will be great, in proportion to how much you increase our suffering." The king then commanded that bears, tigers, and lions, wild beasts made more vicious from hunger, be released upon them to devour their flesh and crush their bones. So he ordered the beast keepers to unleash the animals upon them. And they did as he said, first binding the martyrs' feet and cruelly pinning them down with tent stakes. The beasts were released, roaring fiercely. But when they reached the martyrs, they stopped, bowed before them, and did them no harm. Instead, the animals turned back toward their keepers, still roaring, terrifying the men who had released them. The beasts were driven into the public square, where they were brought before the king. There, they killed 75 soldiers from the king's army. Panic spread among the people. One terror after another fell upon them. Even the king abandoned his throne and fled. The beasts were finally recaptured with great effort and returned to their dens. Then the 2 brothers of Sela, Abia, and Phantos came and unbound them from the prison. They said, "Come, let us flee before these heathens and evildoers find us again." But the martyrs replied to their brothers, saying, "It is not right for us to flee, now that we have been set as a testimony. If you are afraid, then flee yourselves." But their younger brothers said, "We will stand with you before the king. If you die, then we will die with you." After this, the king stepped onto the balcony of his royal hall and saw that the honored men had not fled. All 5 brothers stood together. The captains who oversaw the troops confirmed to the king that they were indeed brethren, and the king became enraged, roaring like a wild boar of the wilderness. In his fury, the king even offered a reward to anyone who would punish all 5 of the brothers. He ordered them to be seized and thrown into the prison. There they were bound tightly and treated harshly, locked in with restraints made from hollow stalks. Then King Tseretsean said, "These stubborn young men have exhausted me. Why are their hearts so hard? They act with rebellion and show strength and resolve. If I say they will turn back, they only become more defiant in their thoughts. So I will bring down upon them punishment fit for their evil deeds. I will burn their flesh until it turns to ash, and then scatter their ashes like dust across the mountains." After saying this, he waited 3 days. Then he commanded that the honored men be brought before him. When they came, he gave orders for a fire to be lit in the great furnace pit. Into it, they added ingredients meant to inflame it with cruel force. Fat, soap berries, sea foam, resin, and sulfur were boiled in a great vat. When the fire blazed in the furnace pit, messengers came to the king, saying, "We have done all that you commanded. Send in the men who are to be thrown in." So he gave the order, and the soldiers did exactly as he commanded. And when the honored men stepped into the fire, they gave their souls into the hands of Yah. Those who'd cast them in looked on and saw angels receive their souls and carry them to the garden where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob dwell, where the righteous ones of Yah are gathered. Chapter 4. When that wicked king saw that the martyrs were dead, he gave orders to burn their bodies until only ashes remained, and to scatter the ashes on the wind. But the fire could not even singe a single hair on their bodies, so they pulled the corpses out of the pit. Again they kept the fire burning over them from morning until evening, but still the flames could not consume them. Then they said, "Come now, let us cast their bodies into the sea." They obeyed the king's command and threw them into the sea, weighing the bodies down with great stones, iron slabs, and a millstone used for grinding by donkey. But they did not sink. The spirit of Yah's support rested upon them. They floated atop the waters, unsinkable, despite all the evil schemes done against them. The king said, "Their death has wearied me more than their life. I will cast their corpses to the wild beasts to be devoured. But what more can I do?" So the soldiers carried out his command. But the vultures and beasts would not touch the bodies. Instead, birds and carrion fowl covered them with their wings, shielding them from the burning sun. The 5 martyrs' bodies lay there for 14 days. And when the people looked upon them, their bodies gleamed like the sun, and angels surrounded them like the light that encircles the tabernacle. The king, uncertain of what else to do, finally ordered a grave to be dug, and the bodies of the 5 martyrs were buried. But that night, as the king who had defied the law of Yah lay upon his bed, the 5 martyrs appeared to him in a vision, standing before him, wielding swords and troubling his soul. It seemed to him as if they'd broken into his chambers in the night. He awoke from sleep in terror and tried to flee from his bedroom to the hall. In his fear, it felt as though they would kill him, as though they were surrounding him. His knees trembled with dread, and he cried out, saying, "My lords, what do you want from me? What must I do for you?" They answered him, saying, "Are we not the very ones whom you ordered burned in the fire, the ones you commanded to be cast into the sea? Yet Yah preserved our bodies, because we believed in him. Your efforts to destroy us failed, for whoever trusts in him shall not perish. Give glory and praise to Yah, for we who believed in him were not disgraced in our suffering." The king replied, "I did not know that such punishment would come upon me. What amends can I make to you? For I see now that I have done great evil to you. Please accept this reward I offer, lest you strike me down and drag my soul to Sheol while I still live. I have sinned against you. Please forgive me," he said, "because the mercy of your father Yah's law is great." But the honored martyrs answered him, saying, "Though you have done evil to us, we will not repay you with evil. For it is Yah who brings judgment upon every soul. It is Yah who will repay you for your deeds. We were shown to you alive and well to be a sign, because your time is short and your wisdom is dulled. Though it seemed to you that you killed us, in truth you prepared a blessing for us. But you and your idol priests will descend into Gehenna, a place with no escape forever. Woe to your idols to whom you bow, having ceased to bow to Yah, who created you when you were but like spit upon the earth. Woe also to you who worship them, though you do not know Yah, who brought you from non-existence into life. Are you not like smoke today, only to vanish tomorrow?" Then the king asked them, "What do you command me to do for you? I will do whatever you ask." They replied, "It is not for our sake that we instruct you, but for your own. Save yourself, lest you enter the Gehenna of fire. Your idols are made of silver and gold, of stone and wood. They have no reason, no soul, and no understanding. They are the work of human hands. They cannot kill or save. They cannot help a friend or harm an enemy. They cannot bring down or exalt. They cannot make rich or poor. They mislead you under the power of demons, spirits that do not desire anyone to be saved. These idols do not uproot or plant, and especially they have no desire to rescue people like you from death. Yet in your blindness, you believe they created you, when in truth, you created them. Because demonic powers have taken residence in them, they only echo back what you wish to hear, so they may drag you into the sea of Gehenna and drown your soul. But you, turn from this error, and let this be your reward. Because we have risen from death, may your worship of our Creator, Yah, benefit both your soul and ours, they told him. The king was shaken and utterly amazed. Seeing all 5 martyrs appear before him, each with a drawn sword, he was terrified, and because of this he bowed before them. Now I know that after death, those who have returned to dust will truly rise again. As for me, my time is short. Death is near. After this, they disappeared from before the king's face. And from that day forward, Sidon, who had once been filled with arrogance, ceased worshipping his idols. Though those idols had misled him many times, and though he'd once found joy in them and in his own foolish reasoning, leading many others astray with him, at last he turned from them and worshipped Yah, his creator. Yet he was not the only one who had fallen into error. Many had sacrificed their sons and daughters to demons, caught in a web of sorcery and confusion, a twisted agreement of understanding taught to them by their father Satan, in order to spread the very confusion and corruption that Yah despises. They defile themselves by marrying their own mothers. They abuse their aunts and their sisters, degrading their own bodies with every act of corruption. For Satan has hardened the minds of the wicked, and they say, "We will not turn back." But Sidon, who did not know his Creator, was consumed with pride, boasting continually in his idols. If someone says, "How can Yah give his kingdom to one who does not know him, nor keep his law, nor worship him?" Know this, if they return to him in true repentance, he is testing them for this very reason. For if they fully turn back in repentance, he will love them and preserve their portion in the kingdom. But if they harden their hearts and refuse, they will be punished with unending fire in the flames of Gehenna. A king ought to fear his Creator, Yah, just as he is honored in his kingship. A judge must submit to his Creator and deliver righteous judgments that reflect the honor of his authority. Elders, chiefs, envoys, and governors should also be subject to their Creator in proportion to the greatness of their rule. For heaven and earth belong to him, the Lord who made all creation. There is no other creator in heaven or on earth. He alone gives wealth or takes it away. He exalts, and he brings low. Chapter 5. One of the 60 warriors grew proud, and Yah caused his body to swell from foot to head with just a spoonful of sulfur. He died instantly from a single plague. And again Hiram, who had forged to himself a bed of iron, became arrogant through his great strength and wealth, but Yah brought him down in death. Then Nebuchadnezzar, filled with pride, declared, "There is no king besides me. I am the Creator who causes the sun to rise in this world." Such was his boast, rising from his overwhelming arrogance. But Yah cast him away from mankind and sent him into the wilderness for 7 years. There he lived among the birds of the heavens and the beasts of the wild, until he came to understand that it was Yah who had created him. And when at last he acknowledged Yah in worship, Yah restored him to his kingdom. So who among men, who is not of heaven, dares to be prideful against the Creator who formed him? And what of those who tear down his law and defy his order? Should they not have been swallowed up by the earth? And you, Sidon, you too desire to exalt yourself against your Creator, yet he may bring you down, as he did with them, casting you into the grave because of your pride. And after they were sent to Sheol, where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth in total darkness, he may also cast you down into the deep pit of Gehenna, where no exit exists forever. As for you, you are just a man. You will die and be forgotten like the proud kings before you who have departed from the land of the living. But I declare this, You are a ruined desolation, not God. For Yah alone is the one who created the heavens and the earth, and he created you as well. He brings down the proud and lifts up the lowly. He gives a firm foundation to those who are weary and worn. He puts an end to the arrogant who seem to prosper, and he raises up those who have returned to the dust, those buried in the grave. He sets his servants free, giving them life, delivering them from the dominion of sin. O King Tseretsean, why do you boast in your defiled idols, which are of no value? Yah is the one who created the heavens and the earth, the vast seas. He made the sun and moon, and he appointed the times and seasons. Man labors in the field, plowing from morning until dusk, and the stars of heaven remain in order by his word. He calls all things in the heavens by name. Nothing happens without Yah's knowledge. He has commanded the angels of heaven to serve him and to praise his glorious name, and angels are sent to all who will inherit eternal life. Raphael was sent as a servant to Tobit, and he delivered Tobias from death in the land of Ragal. Holy Michael was sent to Gideon to guide him by gold so that he might destroy the Ishmaelites. And he was also sent to the prophet Moses when Israel crossed the Red Sea. For it was Yah alone who led them. There were no foreign idols among them. He brought them into the fullness of the land. He fed them with grain from his own planting, because he loved them deeply. He cherished them, giving them honey that hardened like rock, and that you might faithfully care for his people and do the will of Yah, your Creator. He crowned you, Tseretsean, giving you rule over 4 kingdoms. Yes, he exalted you above all others. Your Creator truly crowned you so that you would love Yah in return. It is right that you should love Yah, your Creator, just as he loved you. He entrusted you with the care of many people. Now do Yah's will, so that your days may be long upon the earth, and that he may dwell with you in strength and support. Walk in Yah's ways, so that he may rise up as your defender against your enemies, so that he may seat you firmly upon your throne and hide you beneath his protective wing. Do you not know? Yah chose and crowned you over Israel, just as he once chose Saul from among the sons of Israel while he was still seeking his father's donkeys. He crowned him king over his people and set him on the throne with all Israel. He gave him a high place and lifted him above his brothers. In the same way, Yah has crowned you to lead his people. So from now on, listen and care for his people faithfully. Since Yah pointed you over them to give life or bring judgment, watch over them in matters of wrong and right. Guard those who do evil and uphold those who do good. Because Yah has placed all this in your hands, do his will, whether you suffer hardship or find deliverance. Repay each person according to their deeds, those who do good, those who do evil, and even those whose works are mixed between good and evil. For you are a servant of Yah, who rules over all that is in heaven. So walk in Yah's will, that he may fulfill your desires in every thought and every request you present before him with sincere words. There is no one who rules over him, for he alone rules over all. No one appoints him, for he is the one who appoints all things. No one can remove him, for he alone removes and establishes whom he wills. No one can rebuke him, for he alone rebukes all. No one compels him, for he alone directs all with diligence. The rule of heaven and earth belongs to him. No one escapes his authority. All are laid bare before him. There is nothing hidden from his face. He sees everything, but none can fully see him. He hears the prayers of those who cry out to him, saying, "Save me!" For he made mankind in his own image, and he listens to the voice of the one who pleads. For he is the eternal King. He lives forever, and from his unchanging nature, he provides for all. Chapter 6. For Yah truly crowns kings who walk in his ways, and because of him they authored what is right and just. Those who followed Yah's will shall shine with immeasurable light. Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob, Solomon, David, and Hezekiah, they dwell in the garden, where all the glorious kings abide, surrounded by light. The hall of heaven shines with perfect radiance, far beyond the halls of earth. Its very floor gleams with the appearance of silver, gold, and precious jewels. It is spotless and pure. Its brilliance is beyond the reach of human understanding. The hall of heaven glows like a treasure of radiant stones. Just as Yah, the knower of all nature, ordained, it is a hall that surpasses comprehension. It shines with pure and perfect light. Its floor is crafted of silver and gold, adorned with gems, white silk and blue silk, all of it clean and glorious. Truly, it is stunning beyond description. Those who held firmly to righteousness and faithful obedience, these are the ones who shall inherit it by the mercy and forgiveness of Yah. A healing stream flows from this place, shining brighter than the sun. A tabernacle of light stands within it, surrounded by the fragrance of grace. Around the house is a garden filled with delightful and beloved fruit, each kind with its own unique beauty and taste. There are olive trees and grapevines in abundance. The entire place is breathtaking, and its fruit carries a sweet and pleasing scent. When a person of flesh and blood enters into it, their soul is overcome. It must part from the body because of the overwhelming joy and fragrance of the Iriites that dwell within. Radiant kings who walked in Yah's ways shall rejoice in his presence. Their honor and place are known in the kingdom of heaven, and they will dwell there, firmly established forever, where true peace is found. Their authority on earth was renowned and honored, and their rule in heaven shall also be renowned and honored. They will be exalted in heaven, just as they honored Yah in this life. If they did good while in this world, they will rejoice in the next. But kings who ruled wickedly over the kingdoms Yah entrusted to them, who did not judge justly or uphold what is right, will not receive such honor. They ignored the cries of the poor and destitute. They did not judge in truth, nor defend the refugee or the wronged orphan. They did not rescue the poor from the grasp of the wealthy who robbed them. They did not share from their table to feed the hungry, nor give from their cup to quench the thirsty. They closed their ears to the cries of the afflicted. And so Yah will cast them into Gehenna, a place of eternal darkness, on that great and dreadful day when he comes in judgment. His wrath will fall upon them, just as David once cried in his Psalms, "Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger, and do not chasten me in your fury." Their suffering and disgrace will overflow as vast as their former fame. Many nobles and kings now rule this world, yet they do not keep Yah's law. But Yah, who reigns over all, is enthroned in heaven. The souls and well-being of every person are in his care. He grants honor to those who honor him, for he alone reigns supreme, and he loves those who love him. Heaven and earth belong to him. He examines and knows the innermost thoughts of the heart and mind. To the one who calls upon him with sincere understanding, he will grant the reward of his petition. He will bring down the arrogant and powerful, especially those who do evil to orphans and widows. It was not by your own strength that you gained this kingdom. It was not by your power that you ascended the throne. Yah allowed this to test you, just as he once tested Saul, who ruled over his kin. He placed you on the throne not by your own might, but to prove your heart. Saul failed to obey the word of the prophet Samuel and the word of Yah. He refused to fast for his army and failed to destroy the Amalekite king. So, too, it was not by your strength that you received this kingdom. And Yah said to the prophet Samuel, "Go, for they have grieved me by breaking my law, worshipping idols, bowing before them, building high places, and practicing detestable works that bring no benefit. Say to Saul, go to the land of the Amalekites and destroy them completely, all their armies, their people, their possessions, and every animal." These were a people who provoked Yah to grief, and for this reason he sent Saul to bring destruction upon them. But Saul spared their king and allowed many animals to live. He also preserved treasures, beautiful women and handsome young men. And Yah said to Samuel, "Because he rejected my desire and disobeyed my command, go now and divide his kingdom. Anoint David, son of Jesse, to reign in his place over Israel. And let a tormenting spirit come upon him to oppress and overthrow him. For though I gave him a kingdom to fulfill my will, he rejected me. And because he refused to walk in my ways, I have removed from him the kingdom that had been his rightful portion. Go and say to him, will you truly turn away from Yah, who crowned you over his people Israel and placed you upon his throne of lordship? Say to him also, you did not truly know Yah, the one who gave you all this honor and renown." He said. Then the prophet Samuel came to Saul and found him sitting at his table, and King Agag of Amalek was seated to his left. Samuel said to him, "Why have you ignored the command of Yah, who told you to destroy the people and their livestock?" At that moment, Saul was afraid. He rose from his throne and pleaded with Samuel, saying, "Intercede for me." He grabbed hold of Samuel's garment, but Samuel would not return with him, and the robe tore in Saul's hands. And Samuel said to Saul, "Yah has torn the kingdom from your hands and divided it." Then Saul said to Samuel before the people, "Honor me now and intercede for me before Yah, that he might forgive my sin." Though he feared the word of Yah, who created him, he still refused to put the Amalekite king to death, so Samuel would not take back his words. Because of this, Samuel struck down King Agag of Amalek, piercing him before he could swallow the food in his mouth. And a demon came upon Saul, the same one who had cast aside the law of Yah. And because Yah is the King of kings who rules over all, he struck the sinful king on the head, and Saul felt no shame. For all creation belongs to him. He is the Lord, who removes the authority of kings and nobles who do not fear him, for no one rules over him. As he once declared, The house of David shall increase in honor and renown, but the house of Saul shall fall into disgrace and shame. And so he removed the kingdom from Saul and from his children, for it grieved him, and he destroyed those who grieved him with their evil works. Yah brought vengeance against Saul's household, for anyone who refuses to stand against Yah's enemies is counted as his enemy. When a man has the power and position to bring justice, to destroy the sinner, and to punish those who reject Yah's law, yet chooses not to, he is counted as an enemy of Yah. And so Yah destroyed Saul's house and his children. Chapter 7. And whether you are a king or a ruler, what truly makes you important? Was it not Yah who created you, bringing you from nothing into life, that you might walk in his ways, live according to his commands, and fear his judgment? Just as you become angry with your servants and exercise authority over them, so too does Yah have the right to be angry with you and rule over you. Just as you punish without mercy those who sin against you, so also will Yah strike you down and cast you into Gehenna, where there is no escape for all eternity. Just as you punish the one who disobeys you or fails to bring you tribute, why then do you not bring your tribute to Yah? It was he who created you, so that people might honor you and fear your rule. He crowned you over creation, so that you might care for his people in truth. Why then do you not fear your Creator, Yah? Judge with justice and truth, as Yah appointed you to do. Show no partiality to the rich or the poor. Whom should you fear but Yah alone? Keep his worship and obey his 10 commandments. Just as Moses said to the children of Israel, I have set before you water and fire. Stretch out your hand to what you desire. Do not turn aside to the right or the left. Listen carefully to his word that I speak to you, so you may hear and obey his commands. Do not say, she is across the sea or deep beneath the river. Who will bring her to me so I may hear and obey? Do not say, who will ascend to heaven and bring down the word of Yah to me so that I might hear and obey? Yah's word is near you. Listen. You are to teach it with your mouth and give generously with your hand. You have not truly listened to your Creator Yah unless you have listened to his book, and you have not truly loved him or kept his commands unless you have kept his law, and you risk being cast into Gehenna forever unless you love his commandments and walk in Yah's will. He honored and exalted you, setting you apart from among your kindred so that you might lead them in truth. If you turn away from his ways, Gehenna awaits. He raised you above all others and crowned you over his people so that you might rule with justice and truth, always remembering the name of your Creator, who gave you your kingdom. There are some whom you punished for wronging you, and others whom you forgave because you considered Yah's work. You judged with justice, correcting your thoughts to reflect righteousness. Do not show partiality when people come before you in dispute. Though the earth is under your authority, do not accept bribes to pardon the guilty or to condemn the innocent. If you walk in his will, Yah will lengthen your days in this world. But if you grieve him, your days shall be cut short. Remember, you will rise again after death, and you will stand before him to be examined for every work you have done, whether good or evil. If your deeds are good, You will dwell in the garden, in the kingdom of heaven, in homes prepared for righteous kings, where light is complete. Yah will not dishonor the authority he gave you. But if your works are evil, you will dwell in Sheol and Gehenna among evil kings. When you looked upon your own glory, your feared reputation, your warriors' rewards, your shield and spear hanging before you, your horses and troops, your drummers and harp players, in that moment your heart became proud. You stiffened your neck and forgot Yah, the one who gave you all this honor. And when he told you to leave it behind, you refused. You have entirely neglected the calling he gave you, and now he will take your rule and give it to another. For death will come upon you suddenly, and judgment will be executed at the appointed time of the resurrection. Every deed of mankind will be examined. He will search you thoroughly and pass judgment. Earthly kings will not be honored in that day, for he is the true judge. In the day of judgment, both rich and poor will stand side by side. The royal crowns in which kings once boasted will fall to the ground. Judgment is prepared, and every soul will tremble. In that hour, the works of both sinner and righteous will be laid bare and judged. No one will be hidden. Just as a woman in labor cannot withhold the child within her when it is time to give birth, so the earth cannot withhold the dead within it. They will return. Just as the clouds cannot hold back rain, but release it as Yah commands, so it is with the word of Yah, who created all things, bringing life out of nothingness, and who has brought all into the grave. And when the time of resurrection comes, it will not be possible for the dead to remain in the grave. As Moses said, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of Yah. And it is by his word that all the dead shall be awakened from their graves." Listen, it is certain the dead shall rise by the power of Yah's word. And again, Yah declared in the law concerning kings and nobles who refuse to walk in his ways, "The day has come for their destruction. I will repay and bring judgment upon them when their feet stumble." And Yah said to those who understand his justice, "Know that I am Yah, your creator. I kill and I give life. I bring down in affliction, and I also show mercy. I send to Sheol, and I also raise up into the garden, and there is none who can escape my authority," he said. Yah declared this concerning nobles and kings who do not keep his law. Just as earthly kingdoms fade, from morning to evening they pass away, but keep my statutes and my law, so that you may enter into the kingdom of heaven, which endures forever, he said. For Yah calls the righteous to glory, but the sinner to tribulation. He will bring sorrow upon the sinner, but he will honor the righteous. He will cast out the one who refused to do his will, but the one who walked in his ways, he will appoint and establish. Chapter 8. Listen to me, and I will tell you the way in which the dead shall rise. A plant will be sown, and it will grow and bear fruit. Grapevines will stretch forth their branches, for Yah will bring forth the fruit called immersive. The wine will be drawn from it. Understand this, though the plant you sow was small, it sprang up with branches, fruit, and leaves all at once. Yah causes its roots to drink from both earth and water. Yet he nourishes its wood by fire and wind. The root draws water to feed the leaves, and the earth gives strength and structure to the wood. So too is the soul that Yah created. It bears fruit among the elements, and in the same way the dead shall rise again. When the soul was separated from the body, both returned to their respective origins. But Yah says, "Gather the souls from the four elements, earth and water, wind and fire." The earthly part returned to the earth, rooted in its own nature. The watery part returned to water, the wind to wind, and the fire to fire, each remaining true to its nature. But the soul, which Yah separates from the flesh, returns to its Creator, until the day when he chooses to raise it again, reuniting it with the body. Until then, he places it in the garden, in the place he loves. Righteous souls dwell in houses of light in the garden, but the souls of sinners are sent away into houses of darkness in Sheol until the time Yah appoints. As Yah said to the prophet Ezekiel, "Call forth the souls from the four corners of the earth, that they may be gathered and become one branch." And when he spoke this single word, the souls were gathered from the four directions. The nature of water brought forth lush vegetation, and the nature of fire brought forth flame. The nature of earth returned to earth, and the nature of wind returned to the wind. Then Yah brought the soul from the garden where he had placed it. By one word, all was gathered, and the resurrection took place. Now let me show you a simple example, close to your daily life. The day fades into dusk. You lie down to sleep, the night passes, and you rise from your bed. Your time of sleep is a likeness of death, and your rising in the morning is a likeness of the resurrection. The night, when all people sleep and all is covered in darkness, is a picture of this present world. But the morning light, when darkness is dispelled and light fills the world, and people rise and go out into the fields, that is the image of the resurrection from the dead. And so it is with the kingdom of heaven, where man is renewed. This is what the resurrection of the dead is like. For this passing world is the night. Just as David said, he set his example in the sun. As the sun rises and shines, it is the symbol of the kingdom of heaven. Just as the sun shines over this world today, so when the Messiah comes, he will shine anew in the kingdom of heaven, just as he said, "I am a sun that never sets, a torch that cannot be extinguished. For Yah himself is its light, and he will soon awaken the dead once more." Let me give you another example from the food you sow by which you are sustained. Whether it is wheat, barley, lentils, or any seed sown into the earth, none of it grows until it first dies and decays. Likewise, the human body, when it decays and breaks down, returns to the soil. The earth consumes the body, even the skin. And once the earth has consumed it, it surrounds the seed-like body. Then Yah sends clouds to rain upon it as he wills, and roots grow into the soil, sending forth leaves. If the seed dies and decays, it can grow, and once it grows, it sends forth many buds. And by Yah's will, fruit is given to the buds that bloom, and he clothes the plant in husk and covering. See how much came from a single seed you planted. Yet you do not count the stalk, the leaf, the ear, or the husk as your portion. Do not be dull in understanding. Consider the seed that multiplied, and in the same way know that the dead shall rise in the resurrection, and each one's suffering or reward will be according to their deeds. Listen carefully. If you sow wheat, it will not grow as barley, nor will barley produce wheat. So let me ask, will you ever reap barley if you planted wheat? If you sow watercress, will you harvest linseed? Consider even among plants. If you plant a fig tree, will it ever grow as a nut tree? And if you plant almonds, will you reap grapes? If you plant sweet fruit, will it grow into something bitter? And if you plant something bitter, can it produce sweetness? So too with the soul. If a sinner dies, will he rise as a righteous person at the resurrection? Or if a righteous person dies, will he rise as a sinner? No. Each will receive judgment according to his own deeds. Every person will bear hardship in proportion to their sin and their works. No one will be judged for the sin of another. A tree planted on high ground sends out long branches, but it will wither unless heaven sends rain. Its leaves will not be green. Even the cedar will be uprooted from its roots unless the summer rain falls upon it. So it is with the dead. They will not rise unless the dew of blessing descends upon them, sent by the command of Yah. Chapter 9. Unless the rain of mercy commanded by Yah falls upon the high mountains and the region of Gilboa, no grass will grow there for cattle and wild beasts. The mountains of Elam and the mountains of Gilead will not produce lush leaves for sheep and goats, nor for the oribi, the wild beasts, the ibexes, or the hartebeests of the wilderness. In the same way, the dew of mercy from Yah will not fall upon those who doubted and rebelled, those who earned judgment for themselves through error and wrongdoing. Such dead will not rise again. Demas and the people of Cyprus who worship idols, dig roots, and devise evil schemes, those who practice sorcery, stir up conflict, and lead others into strife, and those who are driven by lust, who have forsaken the law, including the peoples of Media and Athens, who trust in their idols, and who celebrate them with songs, violins, drums, and harps. These will not rise unless Yah himself commands mercy upon them. These are the ones who will be condemned on the day when the dead are raised and final judgment is rendered. Those who clung to their own works and lusts and trusted in idols, these have led themselves astray. You who are wasteful and dull of heart, do you truly believe the dead will not rise? When the trumpet sounds, blown by the chief angel Michael, then the dead will rise, for you will not remain in the grave forever. Do not imagine otherwise. Hills and mountains will be made low, and the path will be cleared before them, and the resurrection will be fulfilled for all who were made of flesh. Chapter 10. If the resurrection were not true, then why were the righteous of old buried with their ancestors, beginning with Adam, Seth, and Abel, Shem and Noah, Isaac, Abraham, Joseph, Jacob, and even Aaron and Moses? Why did they desire to be buried in one place rather than elsewhere? Was it not so that they might rise together with their kindred at the time of the resurrection? And was it not also so that their bones would not be mingled with the bones of the wicked and the idol worshippers? Why else would they have chosen not to be buried in another place? But you, do not deceive yourself by thinking, how can the dead rise after they have decayed, when tens of thousands are buried in the same grave, and their bodies have broken down into dust? And when you look upon a grave, do not let your dull thoughts say, "Not even a handful of earth remains here. How could the dead possibly rise?" Will you also say that the seed you planted will not grow? Even the seed you yourself sowed will surely grow. So likewise, the souls that Yah has sown shall quickly arise, for he created mankind in his truth, bringing them from nothing into life, and by his saving word he will awaken them swiftly. He will not delay. Just as he once returned the living to death, placing them in the grave, why should it be impossible for him to return them again from death to life? Salvation and resurrection, these are fully possible for Yah. Chapter 11. Arnon has fallen, and her strongholds are ruined, for Yah has brought judgment upon them, repaying them according to their evil and the works of their hands. Those who worship idols in Edom and Zebulun shall be brought low at that time, as Yah has decreed. Who will defend those who sinned from youth and did not repent, even in old age? Because of their idolatry and wickedness, Sidon and Tyre shall mourn, for they committed sin and seductive immorality, and they bowed to idols. Because of this, Yah will bring vengeance and destruction upon them, for they did not stand firm in the commands of their Creator. And the daughters of Jerusalem shall be brought to sorrow. She stood stubbornly, shedding the blood of prophets and killing the Irites. Yet because she did not remain steadfast in the 10 laws and in true worship, when the dead rise, Jerusalem's sin will be laid bare. Then Yah will examine her by the wisdom of his nature. He will repay and destroy her for all the sins she committed in former times, for she did not cease from her wickedness from her youth, even into old age. She descended into the grave and became dust, just like her forefathers who remained wrapped in their sin. And at the resurrection he will take vengeance on all who tore down Yah's law. They will be judged. For Moses spoke of them, saying, "Their courts and their counsel have become like Sodom's. Their kin is as Gomorrah, their laws corrupt, their deeds evil, their judgments are poison like the venom of serpents and the bite of vipers that brings ruin with it." Chapter 12. Children of Jerusalem, your sin mirrors that of Sodom and Gomorrah. This tribulation you now face is the very one spoken of by the prophets. Your affliction is like their affliction, rooted in unfaithfulness and pride, while your thoughts on the law remain fixed in adultery and arrogance. Outside of pride and sexual immorality, no showers of repentance or humility have fallen upon your hearts. Your laws are guided not by righteousness, but by bribes, alongside bloodshed, theft, and the abandonment of your Creator, Yah. You do not know Yah. You are consumed by your evil deeds and the idols you worship. You boast in the work of your own hands, and your lusts have grown perverse, even toward males and beasts. Your minds are blinded, so you cannot perceive the truth. Your ears are deafened, so you do not hear or obey Yah's ways. Your works reveal that you do not know him. Your reasoning is as corrupt as the laws of Sodom, like the grapes of Gomorrah, sweet on the outside, but deadly within. If anyone examines your deeds, they find poison, a curse from the very day it was committed, a foundation already prepared for destruction. Your homes and thoughts are steeped in sin. Your bodies are temples of Satan's fire, hardened in wickedness. There is no good to be found in the thoughts of your hearts. When one among you is put to shame and purified, It is only as a warning, a chastisement leading to ruin. For those who have drunk from this cup of iniquity, their minds are now formed to destroy, and they have become vile, estranged from Yah. You are settled in your sin, and now your dwelling is fit only for demons. The offering of sacrifices to idols has begun even in the house of Israel. You turn again to the high places and the sacred groves. You bow before foreign idols and follow the customs of those around you. You hand over your sons and daughters to demons, beings who know nothing of righteousness, but only evil. They shed innocent blood without restraint, pouring it out like wine from Sodom, continually offering it to idols. She gives glory and worship to Dagon, the false god of the Philistines, offering him sacrifices from her herds and well-fed cattle. She seeks to be seen by demons, taking pleasure in the ways they taught her, to sacrifice and pour out wine to them, doing their will. She brings offerings to please them, forgetting her Creator, Yah, who has faithfully fed her, cherished her, and raised her from infancy to youth, from adulthood to old age, even until death. And I will bring judgment upon Satan at the time of the resurrection. Because she would not return to my law, nor live according to my commands, her dwelling in Gehenna shall last forever. If these idols she serves are truly gods, let them rise with her and descend into Gehenna to rescue her when I strike and destroy her, along with all the priests of idolatry who sinned alongside her. Just as she defiled my sacred items and polluted my temple, so I made Jerusalem wretched in return for all her sins. Though she was told, "Listen, you are Yah's chosen people. This is the house of Israel's Creator, Jerusalem, the holy city set apart, the dwelling place of the Most High Yah's name." She brought disgrace upon it, and I made her wretched, for she defiled the name I placed upon her. She boasts that she belongs to me, that I am her Lord, yet she mocks me like a criminal, not fearing me or obeying my will, though she calls me her master. Others misled her and drew her away from me. Now she is ruled by idols that neither feed nor clothe her. Still, she sacrifices to them and eats of those sacrifices. She sheds blood and drinks wine in their name. She burns incense and fills the air with its fragrance for them. She listens to her idols and obeys their commands. And again, she sacrifices her sons and daughters to idols. She praises them as if fulfilling their desires, proud of the words she speaks and the works her hands perform. Woe to her on the day of final judgment! Woe also to her idols whom she loved and clung to. Together they shall descend into Gehenna, deeper than Sheol, where the worm never rests and the fire is never quenched. Woe to you, wretched children of Jerusalem! You have forsaken me, your Creator, and bowed down to strange gods. I will bring upon you tribulation in full measure, according to your deeds. Because you grieved me, rejected my word, and did not walk in righteousness, you will be condemned by your own arrogance. You despised my word, and failed to live according to the covenant we made, that you would keep my law, and I would dwell with you in support, and save you from your enemies. You did not keep my commands, so I will withhold my rescue in your time of distress. You cast all this aside, and so I have cast you off. Though I created you, since you would not obey my commands or heed my word, I will judge you when the time comes. I honored you, that you might be my people. But just as Sodom and Gomorrah turned away from me, so have you turned away. I judged and destroyed them, and likewise, because you are of their kind, I will destroy you. I will blot out your name like theirs, for your sin mirrors theirs, defiling the marriage bed, lusting lawlessly with beasts and men, committing what is unnatural. Let their names perish from this world, that their wickedness may not endure among the righteous. There is no fear of Yah in their faces. From the youngest child to the eldest, they serve Satan in all their wickedness. Yet he delays his wrath, offering them time to repent. But their deeds are corrupt, and they are full of sin and transgression. All manner of evil, robbery, arrogance, and greed fills their thoughts and intentions. And because of this, Yah turned his face from them and laid waste to their lands. He will burn them with fire until even their deepest roots in the ground are destroyed. They will utterly perish forever, with none left behind. For they became nothing but sin, and they will remain in ruin until the day of the Lord's appearing, when the final judgment is executed. They grieved me with their wickedness, and I will neither pardon nor forgive them. I turned away from them, for you will find no mercy when I rise in anger and take hold of you, for all your deeds are theft and corruption, adultery and greed, falsehood and deception, all wickedness and stumbling blocks that I despise. And you, O children of Jerusalem, miserable and rebellious, you too shall be judged as they were. I created you for honor, but you cast yourself down. I called you my treasured people, but you gave yourself to another. I betrothed you in glory, but you chose demons. Therefore I will repay you with destruction equal to the wickedness of your works. Because you did not listen to my words, and because you rejected the commandments I gave you in love, I will pour out fierce vengeance upon you. I am Yah, your Creator, and I will judge every sinner like you. On the day of judgment, each will receive what their evil deserves. Since you ignored my word and cast aside my justice, I will condemn you with the wicked. Woe to you, Sodom and Gomorrah, who have no fear of Yah in your hearts. And likewise, woe to the daughters of Jerusalem, who shall be judged alongside you in the fire of Gehenna. You will descend together into the pit that was prepared for you, where there is no escape forever. Woe to every soul who has committed your sins. Because you did not keep my word or obey my commandments, you, along with all who disobeyed, shall descend into Sheol on the day that judgment is carried out. But those who obeyed my word and kept my commandments shall inherit what sinners stored up. As Yah has decreed, the righteous shall take the spoils gathered by the wicked, and the gentle shall dwell in joy. But wrongdoers and sinners shall weep in sorrow for all the evil they have committed in turning away from my commands. The one who keeps my word and stands firm in my ways, he will receive my blessing and share honor at my side. All who follow my word and remain steadfast in my commandments will enjoy the richness of the earth and enter the garden where righteous kings abide, those whose thoughts are upright and clean. Chapter 13. As they shall be crushed and perish beneath my wrath when I seize them, woe to the lands of Tyre and Sidon, and to all the region of Judah who now walk in arrogance. Triumphant Yah has spoken. He has declared, from among them shall rise the child of the devil, one full of pride, the false Messiah, enemy of truth stiff-necked and boastful, knowing not his Creator. And Yah, who rules all, has said, I have made him an image of my anger, that my power might be revealed through his fall. This includes Capernaum, Samaria, Galilee, Damascus, Syria, Athens, Cyprus, and all the region of Jordan, peoples who hardened their hearts and lived comfortably in sin. The shadow of death and deep darkness covers them. Demons have clouded their minds, and they are led astray by proud spirits, having no fear of Yah. Woe to those who serve demons and offer sacrifices in their names. They have denied Yah, their Creator. Like mindless beasts they have become. For the false Messiah, the devil's child, who forsakes Yah's law, will raise up his image in every place, claiming, I am God. He shall glory in his vanity, in his evil works, in theft and adultery, and every wickedness done by man. But it is accounted by Yah, who sees all, that this sin is not hidden. Its time is already measured. The sun will be darkened, the moon will turn to blood, and the stars will fall from the heavens. All the works of this world shall be swept away by the wonders that Yah will bring at the time of fulfillment, when he causes the earth and all who dwell in sin to pass away. For Yah has rejoiced over his creation, and as swiftly as he formed what he loved, so swiftly shall he bring judgment. By the Lord's death, even the least of the devil's servants shall be cast down. Yah, who rules all, has said, I shall judge and destroy, and after the day of my coming, demons shall have no power. And on the day when he is judged by my wrath, the false Messiah shall be cast into Gehenna, the place he longed for, the place of unending torment. He shall drag with him all who followed him into ruin, destruction, and shame. For I alone send to Gehenna, and lead into Gehenna, and he shall go there. For Yah strengthens the weak and humbles the mighty. He brings low the arrogant, so that none may boast in their strength. For Yah is the ruler. He judges rightly, and saves the oppressed from the hand of those who wrong them. He will restore justice for the widows and the orphans. Woe to you who boast and harden your neck, who think that I will not reign over you or judge and destroy you. For in his pride and arrogance he has said, I will set my throne among the stars in heaven. I will be like the Most High Yah. But as it was declared, how you have fallen from heaven, O Shining One, like the morning star created before all. Woe to you! You dared to speak proudly in your arrogance, forgetting Yah, who made you by his authority. Why did you exalt yourself when you were bound for Gehenna by your own corrupted mind? You were cast down, cut off from the angels who are like you, for they praise their Creator with humble thoughts, knowing he formed them from fire and wind. They do not stray from his command, nor allow treachery to enter their hearts, lest they ever depart from his will. But you betrayed with a hardened and arrogant mind. You became miserable, separated from your companions. For you loved sin and iniquity, robbery and corruption. Those who forget the law of Yah, sinners from your kind, walk in your footsteps, living by your teachings and doing what you command. Woe to you, for the demons you led astray in your malice will go down with you into Gehenna. And woe to you, children of Yah, who were deceived by that lying devil. You wandered like him, pursuing gain from what he and his hosts taught you. You too will go down into Gehenna together, where there are no exits forever. Do you not remember when Yah's servant Moses was with you? You grieved Yah at the waters of contention, and at Horeb, and in the conflict with the Amalekites, and again at Mount Sinai. And again, when you sent spies into Canaan, and they returned, saying, "The journey is too long, the walls and fortresses reach the sky, and mighty warriors live there." You lost heart, and longed to return to Egypt, where you had once suffered. And in doing so you grieved the word of Yah. You did not remember Yah, who shielded you in times of trouble, who performed mighty wonders in Egypt, and led you by the authority of his angel. By day he covered you in a cloud so the sun would not scorch you, and by night he gave you a pillar of fire so your feet would not stumble in the dark. And when Pharaoh's army terrified you, you cried out to Moses, and Moses cried out to Yah. Then Yah sent his angel to shelter you, that Pharaoh would not overtake you. He led them into Jericho with great signs and power. Yah himself led Israel, for he had said it, and there were no foreign gods among them. He drowned their enemies in the sea in a single moment, and none who fled from his people were spared. Israel crossed through the sea on dry land. No harm from the Egyptians overtook them. He delivered them to Mount Sinai and fed them with manna for 40 years. Yet even with all these blessings, Israel's children continually grieved Yah. Though he did great and good things for them, they neglected to worship him. From their youth to their old age, they kept evil in their hearts. For the mouth of Yah declared at Horeb, where the genealogies of the fathers were written, "The thoughts of Adam's children are like ashes. Their works rush toward robbery. They pursue evil and despise uprightness. They gather wealth through violence, lie under oath, wrong their neighbors, rob and steal. Their hearts are filled with wickedness. All their lives they chase after evil deeds. The children of Israel, who cast aside the law of Yah, have grieved him from the earliest days until the end of the age." Chapter 14. When Yah destroyed the children of Cain from the ancient generations through the flood, he washed the earth with water because of their sins. He baptized the land through the waters of judgment and cleansed it from the corruption of Cain's descendants. As he declared, "I regret that I made man," he wiped out all the wrongdoers. None was spared except 8 souls. After that, he multiplied them again, and they repopulated the earth, sharing the inheritance of their forefather Adam. Then Noah entered into a covenant with Yah. He and his children swore an oath not to eat what was dead or found already lifeless, not to serve any foreign gods besides Yah their Creator, that Yah might be their loving Father and not strike them down in the vanity of their sin. They swore that he would continue to send early and spring rains to provide food for people and animals in due season, grass, grain, fruit, and all green things, so they might do what is right in his sight. But after Yah gave them this charge, the children of Israel grieved him again through their sins. They did not walk in his law like their fathers, Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob, who never forsook the law of their Creator Yah. From the least to the greatest, the children of Israel failed to uphold Yah's law. Their ways became twisted and corrupt. Whether priests or leaders or scribes, every one of them turned away from Yah's commands. They no longer lived according to the order of Yah or the law that Moses gave them, which had said in the book of repetition, "Love Yah your Creator with all your body and all your understanding." Nor did they obey what was written in the book of the law, which said, "Love your neighbor as yourself." Do not worship other gods. Do not commit adultery. Do not kill. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness. Do not covet your neighbor's donkey or ox, or anything that belongs to your brother. Yet even after being commanded all these things, the sinful children of Israel returned to betrayal, practicing robbery, iniquity, adultery, lies, theft, and idol worship. The children of Israel saddened Yah at Horeb when they crafted a golden calf, an image of a grazing beast, and bowed before it, saying, Behold, these are our gods who brought us out of Egypt. They became proud of the work of their own hands. They ate and drank until they were full, and then rose up to sing and celebrate. And Yah spoke to Moses, saying, Your people, whom you brought out of Egypt and from the house of bondage, have turned aside from my law. They have made for themselves the image of a calf and bowed to it. Because of this, Moses was angered and descended from Mount Sinai. While still angered at his people, Moses came down with his trusted servant Joshua. And when Joshua heard the sound from the camp, he said, Listen, there is the sound of warriors in Israel's camp. But Moses replied, This is not the cry of battle. It is the sound of singing from a people drunk on unboiled wine. Then he entered the camp, destroyed the image they had made, and crushed it into fine dust. He scattered it in the water and made the Israelites drink it near the mountain. Afterward, he commanded the Levites to carry out judgment, instructing them to slay those who had sinned so greatly against Yah. The Levites obeyed, knowing that defying Yah was worse than slaying their own brothers and fathers. They acted according to Moses' word. Then Moses said to them, You have grieved Yah, who fed you, cared for you, brought you out of bondage, and swore to give you and your descendants the inheritance promised to your forefathers. By doing this evil thing, you have made Yah irate. For they turned quickly to sin and wickedness, and did not cease from grieving Yah even then. They were not like their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who pleased Yah with their righteous deeds. Because of their faithfulness, Yah gave them both the earthly inheritance and prepared for them the heavenly reward, a garden of delight reserved for the righteous. This is what he has stored up for those who love him, blessings beyond what any eye has seen or ear has heard or heart imagined. Their children denied Yah and did evil in his sight. Though he had fed them, cherished them, and watched over them from infancy, they chose instead to live content in the sin of their hearts. They gave no thought to Yah, who had delivered them from the land of Egypt, rescuing them from the burden of brickwork and the cruelty of bondage. Instead, they continually grieved him. And so Yah stirred up foreign nations against them, outsiders who would rise up in hostility, and even among themselves they would fall into strife and conflict over what they once shared in unity. Chapter 15. And at that time people from Midian rose up in hostility against Israel, and they stirred their armies to war. Their king was named Acrandus, and he swiftly gathered many forces from Syria, and Damascus. Encamping beyond Jordan, he sent messengers who proclaimed, To claim your goods, pay tribute to me on behalf of Israel, he said. But if you do not pay the tax, I will come to punish you. I will seize your livestock, take your mares, and capture your children. I will carry you off to a land unknown to you, and there I will make you water carriers and gatherers of wood, he declared. Do not boast, saying, We are Yah's kindred, and nothing can defeat us. Is it not Yah who sent me to destroy you and plunder your wealth? Was it not I whom Yah appointed to gather all your kindred? Did any of the other gods save the nations I have already destroyed? I captured their mares and horses, slew their warriors, and took their children. Unless you bring the tribute I have demanded, I will wipe you out, just as I did them." And so he crossed the Jordan to plunder their flocks and goods and to capture their wives. Then the children of Israel wept in true mourning before Yah. From the depths of their hearts they cried out, but there was no one to come to their aid. And so Yah granted strength to 3 brothers, mighty in power and noble in appearance. Their names were Judas, Simon, and Jonathan. When the people of Israel heard all this, sorrow pierced their hearts. A great cry arose from among them, the orphans, the widows, the leaders, the priests, all Israel's kindred, sons and daughters, young and old alike, weeping and casting ashes upon their heads, even the nobles dressed in sackcloth. But the brothers, handsome and strong, came together and resolved, "Let us go and offer our very bodies to death for the sake of our people." They encouraged one another, saying, "Take heart, take heart." They girded swords around their waists and gripped spears in their hands. Armed and resolute, they advanced to hold the warrior king to account. When they reached the enemy camp, Simon struck the warrior king as he sat at his dinner table, cutting through his neck in a single blow while the food was still in his mouth. At the same moment, Jonathan and Judas fell upon the king's armies to the left and right, cutting them down with the sword. Once their king was slain, terror struck the enemy, and they turned their spears on one another's hearts. Their lines broke, they fled, their bows were shattered, and defeat overtook them. But the brothers, handsome and strong, were preserved from death. No harm befell them, for Yah himself returned chastisement upon the enemy, and they fell by their own hands, depleted and broken. Dead and defeated, they fled across the Jordan. As they fled, they cast aside all their possessions. Their wealth remained behind. And when the children of Israel saw that their enemies had fled, they entered the camp and took for themselves the spoil and the treasure. Yah saved Israel through the hand of the brethren, by the hand of the Maccabees. He delivered them. For a short time Israel made Yah irie, but afterward they returned once again to sin. The children of Israel failed to worship Yah as they ought. And Yah would again bring sorrow upon them, sending nations who knew them not, who would reap their fields, destroy their vineyards, plunder their flocks, slaughter them, and feed their livestock in Israel's presence. These enemies would seize their wives, daughters, and sons, for Israel continually saddened Yah. Being a people who destroy the law, they would witness their children dashed before them, each child's head struck. They would not be saved. Chapter 16. They who do this are Tyre and Sidon, and those dwelling beyond the Jordan River and along the seacoast, Hebron and Gilead, the Jebusite and the Canaanite, the Edomite, the Girgashite, and the Amalekite. All these people act in such ways, each living strong within their own tribes, countries, regions, and tongues, each upheld in strength as Yah made them. And among them are some who know Yah, whose work is beautiful. But there are others whose deeds are evil, who do not know Yah, who created them. And just as they committed sin, he ruled over them by the hand of King Shalmaneser in Syria. For Shalmaneser plundered and took the possessions of Damascus and shared the spoils of Samaria with the king of Egypt. By his hand, Yah ruled over them, in the region of Gilboa, as well as among the people of Persia and Media, of Cappadocia and Caesarea, those who dwell in the western mountains, and in the fortress of Gilead and Pathros, which belongs to the land of Judah. These are peoples living in that region, stiff-necked kindreds who neither know Yah nor keep his command. And he shall repay them for their hardship, in measure to their evil deeds and the work of their hands. For the kindreds of Gilead and the region of Caesarea, together with the Amalekites, have conspired as one to destroy Yah's land, a land truly full, in which the Creator of Israel is praised. He who is most glorified and mighty, whom countless angels in chariots drawn by cherubim serve, standing before him in fear and trembling, he shall repay them according to their evil deeds and their handiwork. Chapter 17. The Amalekites and Edomites do not worship Yah, by whose authority and rule both earth and heaven were made, for they are breakers of the law, and do not walk in the work of truth. They feel no fear in defiling his tabernacle, the temple. There is no fear of Yah before them, only bloodshed, adultery, eating what is strangled, what is sacrificed to idols, and all that is found dead. Such are the acts of these scorned sinners. They have no virtue, nor true religion, for they hate goodly work, and they do not know Yah. They do not know the work of love, only robbery, sin, oppression, and every hated deed. They busy themselves with games and song, just as their father, the devils, taught them. They have no virtue nor religion. He, the adversary, rules over them with his host of demons, teaching them every evil work suited to their hearts, robbery and sin, theft and falsehood, the seizing of wealth, the eating of what was beaten and what was found dead, and the work of adultery. He teaches them all things like these: pursuing another man's wife, shedding blood, eating what was sacrificed to idols and what died of itself, killing souls in violence, fostering envy, winking with deceit, greed, and every evil work that Yah does not love. Devils, their enemies, teach them these things that they might be separated from Yah's law, he who rules over all the world. But Yah's works are innocence and humility, not harming the brethren, but loving one's companion, living in harmony, and walking in love with all. Be not hypocrites, who flatter a man's face. Be not wrongdoers, nor robbers, nor those who pursue another man's wife. Do not be among those who deal in iniquity and evil works against their companion, nor among those who use charm and manipulation to harm another by violence. They sneer, shake their heads, and provoke others to evil. They sow discouragement to mislead, dragging others downward toward the fixed judgment of eternity. Chapter 18. Think upon this, that thou shalt go in death toward Yah, in whose hand all are held, and thou shalt stand before him, that he might convict thee for all the sin thou hast worked. For even the arrogant and the evil and the children of the powerful, who were no stronger than them, were likewise in former times, because they beheld their own stature, their power, and their established authority. They did not care for Yah before them. They did not understand that he is their Creator, who brought them from not living into living. And when their fathers, being like unto angels, praised upon the mount with the holy angels, yet when their covenant misled them, they descended toward this world, where the definite judgment shall be done forever. For Yah, in antiquity, created human flesh for them, that it might humble their reasoning and test them to see whether they would keep his law and his command. But they married wives from among Cain's children. Yet they did not keep his law, and he lowered them into Gehenna's fire with their father devils. For Yah vexed upon the offspring of Seth, who were wronged by others, and human lifespans were shortened because of their sin, and they drew Adam's children into sin with them, and he lowered them into Sheol, where they shall receive their verdict. For the span of human life was divided, because Seth's children erred by mingling with Cain's children. Where once a man's years were 900 in antiquity, they returned to being 120 years. And as they are flesh and blood, Yah said, My spirit of support shall not always strive upon them. And because of this thing, my years have been divided. For because of my sin and iniquity, my years have been shortened from those of my fathers who came before me. And now, even in infancy, they are dying. But the years of my fathers abounded, because they kept his law, and because they did not sadden Yah. For the years of my fathers abounded also because they corrected their daughters, that they might teach them, and they chastened their sons, lest they abolish Yah's law. Because they did not let their daughters and their sons demolish Yah's law, because of this their years abounded in truth. Chapter 19. As the descendants of Cain grew in number, they began crafting musical instruments, drums, harps, flutes, and violins. They filled their lives with songs and all sorts of entertainment. Cain had children with the woman who had once been Abel's wife, a beautiful woman he'd taken after murdering his brother out of jealousy. Cain broke away from his family and moved westward to a place called Kephaz. His children inherited their mother's beauty. When the sons of Seth saw how attractive Cain's daughters were, they were drawn to them, and without hesitation began taking them as wives. This mixing led them into error. Their hearts turned from Yah, and because of this, his anger burned against both Cain's line and Seth's. The enemy whispered lies, telling them, You can become gods, just like your Creator. It was the same deception that led Adam and Eve astray. In their ignorance, they believed the lie and broke the covenant with Yah, the very one who had breathed life into them and called them to worship his name. But Yah humbled them. He stripped away the false godhood they had claimed and cast down the prideful heart of man. As David once said, Adam fell through the arrogance of the sinful one, and justly Yah judged and corrected both Adam and the deceiver. Now we, the children of Seth who followed after Cain's example, have shared in their downfall, and because of this, the years Yah gave us are shorter than those of our forefathers. These early generations did what was right in Yah's eyes. They stood firm in their faith, making sure their sons and daughters were raised to honor his law. And because of that, no enemy could overtake them. But even good works have little value if they are not passed down. If they didn't teach their children, that righteousness would stop with them. Just as David said, they did not hide the truth from their children, but passed it on to the next generation, teaching them to praise Yah, to remember his wonders and his mighty power. It wasn't enough to know the truth themselves. They had to teach their children, so their hearts would be shaped by it too. That way, each new generation would trust in Yah, keep his law, and follow the example of those who pleased him. Those who received the truth while still young stayed faithful, just as their fathers had done before them, learning the worship of Yah and the 10 laws handed down through the generations. The children were trained by their fathers to walk in righteousness and to lift up praise to their Creator. They obeyed his law and loved him with all their hearts. Because of that, when they prayed, he listened. He never turned away from their cries. For Yah is full of mercy and ready to forgive. And even when his anger was stirred, he never allowed it to consume them completely. His discipline was measured, never total destruction. Chapter 20. My brothers, remember, don't let it slip from your mind what was taught long ago, that Yah honors those who do what is right and stay faithful to Him. He blesses their families in this life, and their name will be remembered as something good and lasting even into eternity. Their children won't go hungry or be left in need. Because of their faithfulness, Yah Himself will rise up on their behalf. He won't hand them over to their enemies, but will deliver them from those who hate them. And to all who truly love His name, He will be their helper when trouble comes. He will protect them and forgive them all their sins. Chapter 21. David placed his trust in Yah, and Yah honored that trust. He became David's refuge, saving him from the hand of King Saul. Because David stayed faithful and walked in Yah's ways, he was protected even when Absalom rose against him, when the Philistines came to fight, when the Edomites and Amalekites threatened, and even when one of the giants of Rephaim came against him. Through all of it, Yah delivered David from his enemies. For victory comes through Yah alone. His hand can defeat any foe, but those kings who didn't trust Him, He did not rescue. Hezekiah trusted Yah, and Yah saved him from Sennacherib, the proud and powerful king. But Hezekiah's son, Manasseh, did not trust in Yah. Because of that, he was conquered and taken captive by his enemies. Though those who defeated him were not mightier in truth, they prevailed because Manasseh turned away from Yah. Yah took away the kingdom He had once given Manasseh, for Manasseh did not do what was right before him. Had he remained faithful, Yah would have increased his years, given him strength and protection, and fought his battles. It is better to put your trust in Yah than in great armies or weapons. Those who believe in Him will be firmly established, lifted up, and honored. Yah shows no partiality, but those who rely on their own strength and wealth and not on Him will drift away from the blessings and honor He longs to give. He watches over those who trust in Him, but those who ignore Him, who never humble their hearts or keep His commands, He will not come quickly to their aid when trouble comes. But the one who stays faithful, who worships Yah and walks in His commandments, will find Him to be a shelter in times of trouble. Yah will give that person victory over enemies, allowing him to seize their land, livestock, and goods. The rain will fall in season, the crops will sprout, and the fields will yield grain and fruit in abundance. The early and late rains will come at just the right time, making the grass green and nourishing the land, so that all under His care will live in joy. They will feast on the goods taken from their foes, satisfied with the spoils, flocks, herds, food from the tables of their enemies, even taking captives from among them. Yah gives all this to the one He loves, but the one who turns from Him, He hands over to enemies. Their hands and feet will be bound, and they'll become a laughingstock to their captors, because they shed innocent blood and rejected Yah's law. There will be no joy in their legacy. They will not stand when judgment comes. Those who do evil will receive the hardship they brought on themselves. But Yah has declared it. Those who do good will not go unrewarded. He will guard them under His care. He is Lord over everything He created, and His purpose is to bless His people with lasting peace, so that they might praise Him who made them. He gave His law for their good, yet among all creation, only mankind dares to rebel. All other creatures live in harmony with what Yah commanded. They do their part, each in their own way, obeying His order. But man, who was given dominion over all, beasts, birds, and every creature under heaven, chose to rise up against the very one who crowned him. Yah placed all creation, everything in the sea and on the land, under the care of Adam, the first man. He gave it as a gift that man might enjoy it, work with it, and rule over it. Beasts and animals were placed under human authority that they might serve those who honored the one who made them. But if people turn away from Yah's law, he will strip them of the rulership he gave them. For he alone governs both heaven and earth, and he gives authority only to those who walk in his ways. Yah raises up and tears down. He gives life, and he takes it away. He allows hardship. He brings healing. He punishes and pardons as he sees fit. There is no other like him, no rival creator in all the heavens above or the earth beneath. No one can question his ways or challenge his rule. He appoints leaders and removes them. He gives honor and he humbles. He wounds and he mends. He provides and he takes away. Yet he hears the cries of those who seek him with a pure heart. He listens to their prayers and answers their requests, showing favor to those who live by his word. He places both the mighty and the lowly under their influence. He blesses them wherever they dwell, on mountains and hills, by tree roots and in caves, on land and sea, throughout every tribe and nation. For those who obey their Creator, this is their reward. He will not withhold from them the abundance he has promised. Their praise will not be in vain, and he will grant them the honor he prepared long ago for the faithful, like Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob, and like Hezekiah, David, and Samuel, men who never turned aside from his law. They shall rejoice in his kingdom, sharing in the inheritance given to the fathers of old. What Yah promised them, he will surely give. Chapter 22. Reflect on those whose names are remembered for doing what is right. Let their good deeds never be forgotten. Live in such a way that your name may be counted among theirs, so that you too may rejoice with them in the kingdom of heaven, in the place of eternal light prepared for righteous kings and noble ones who followed Yah's will. But also take note of the names of corrupt rulers. Know them and understand their shame, for after death they will be disgraced before both God and man. Though they had eyes to see and ears to hear, they ignored what was right, and if they refused to obey Yah while they lived, their judgment will be even heavier than that of the lawless or those who simply forgot his commands. Be gentle, be upright, be sincere, but do not walk the same road as those who have cast off Yah's law. His anger is set against their wickedness. Uphold justice, defend the orphan, rescue the widow from the hands of the oppressor. Be like a father to the fatherless. Stand in their defense against the rich and unjust. Let the tears of the orphan stir your heart, lest your heart be unmoved on the day of judgment, and you be cast into the fire with the unrepentant. Set your feet on the path of love and unity. Yah watches over his faithful ones, and his ears are open to their prayers. So pursue love and never turn from it. But his face is turned in anger toward those who do evil. Their names will be wiped out from the earth, and no high walls or strongholds will protect them. I am Yah, he says, jealous for my glory. I will repay those who hate me and disregard my words. I will not show them favor until they are brought low. But to those who honor him and keep his commands, he will honor them in return. Chapter 23. Don't follow the way of Cain, the one who murdered his own brother, who had only shown him love and trust. Cain betrayed that love with bloodshed. He was driven by envy and jealousy over his sister, and in his bitterness he struck down one who had done him no wrong. Anyone who acts out of envy, treachery, or cruelty toward their neighbor walks in Cain's footsteps. But Abel was innocent, gentle like a lamb. His blood was pure, like the blood of the unblemished offering that is given to Yah with a sincere heart. Cain chose a path far from this. He strayed from the way of righteousness. Yet those who live with innocence, like Abel, are deeply loved by Yah. They follow the same humble, faithful path. Those who walk in Abel's footsteps prove their love for Yah by their lives. But the wicked are left without favor. Their guilt is sealed upon them. The record of their sins is not hidden. It is inscribed on the tablets of their hearts, waiting for the day of judgment. And when that day comes, their sins will be exposed before all people, before the angels, and before all creation. Shame will cover them, for they rejected the way of Yah and refused to walk in his truth. Then the word of judgment will ring out against them, cast them into Gehenna, the place from which no one escapes, forever. Chapter 24. When Gideon placed his full trust in Yah, he overcame a vast army of the uncircumcised. So many in number, they swarmed like locusts, uncountable and fierce. Listen, you nobles and kings. There is no creator besides Yah. Don't be fooled by foreign idols. They are nothing. I am Yah, your creator. I formed you in the womb. I nurtured you, fed you, and clothed you. So why do you turn from me? Why bow to false gods? I gave you everything, not for my gain, but for your good. I only ask that you live by my law, walk in my ways, and honor my commands. That's how you find life, peace, and health for your body. What more do I require? Yah, the ruler over all things, declares, keep yourselves from idols. Turn away from sorcery, from speaking with unclean spirits, and from walking in darkness. Judgment is coming for those who do these things, for those who listen to false spirits, who follow their ways, who keep their company, and obey their twisted counsel. Stay far from idols. If you don't live in reverent obedience to Yah, then foreign peoples, who care nothing for you, will rise up against you. They will take the fruit of your labor and consume what you worked so hard to earn, just as the prophets declared, Enoch, Asaph, and others, unless you walk in Yah's will, others will feast on your toil. Beware of wicked ones, who cloak themselves in new garments. They live only for eating, drinking, and adorning themselves with gold and silver. Their lives are consumed by sin, not by righteousness. From morning until night, they chase after indulgence and wrongdoing. They refuse the path of peace, though it is filled with goodness. Instead, they walk a path of sorrow and ruin. They do not know love. They scorn unity. They have no reverence for Yah. Selfish and greedy, they hoard their food and wine, drunken in their excess. Lawless and shameless, they pursue seduction, bloodshed, theft, and violent robbery, especially against the poor and helpless. These are the ones who speak judgment without love and outside of the law, for they have no fear of Yah who formed them, and their faces show no reverence. They feel no shame when looking another in the eye. They show no respect to the aged or to elders. And when they hear someone mention riches in the world, they claim it for themselves before ever seeing it, for there is no fear of Yah in their eyes. And when at last they see it, they believe they are entitled to it. The nobles put their trust in wealth. They feast, but they are full of deceit. Their tongues do not speak truth. They do not stand by in the evening what they said in the morning. They are deaf to suffering and the cries of the needy. Their rulers are quick to do evil, stirring up trouble for the one who rescued the oppressed from the greedy hands of the rich. Let that one defend the wronged and the outcast, and let not the rulers withhold justice because of it. But these are the ones who demand bribes, who steal what others own, who break the law, and because their deeds are corrupt, they are unjust. For they slaughter the calf with its mother, and take the bird with its eggs, hoarding what is not theirs before all to see. They love to heap up wealth for themselves, but they do not show mercy to the sick or the poor. They take by force from those who have nothing. They hoard everything they find and grow fat on it, rejoicing in their gain. But they will vanish swiftly, like a dung beetle that crawls from its hole and leaves no trail, never returning to its place. And because they did no good while they lived, sorrow will be upon their flesh when Yah strikes them and lays hold of them. When Yah turns from them, they will all fall at once in a single judgment, for he patiently endures their actions, hoping they will repent. But if they do not, he will not delay their ruin. They will perish when the time comes. And if they refuse to repent, he will bring them down quickly, just like those who came before, who rejected his law and denied him what he was due. These are the ones who devour others and drink their blood. They plot and act violently to pursue sin. They never fear Yah, and from the moment they rise from sleep, they rush again into wickedness. Their deeds are their food and drink, leading only to ruin and evil, causing the destruction of many in this world. Chapter 25. As their deeds are perverse, so are all who follow the path of Satan's deception. Yah, ruler of all, says, "Woe to your body when I strike and take hold of it." But they have no knowledge of Yah's ways, for they've cast them aside and disregarded my law. In the end of days I will bring distress upon them, measured out according to the evil they have done, and for the sins recorded before me. I will bring judgment and destroy them on the day justice is rendered. For I, Yah, fill the heavens from one end to the other, and all creation is under my command. There is no place in heaven, earth, the deep, or the sea where my rule does not reach. I give orders to the serpent beneath the earth, to the fish in the sea, to the birds in the heavens, and even to the wild donkey in the wilderness. For from one horizon to the next, all belongs to me. I alone perform wonders and mighty acts, and none can flee from my dominion, neither on earth nor in heaven. No one dares say to me, "Where are you going?" or "What are you doing?" I give command to angels, rulers, and multitudes, Every creature whose name exists is mine. The beasts of the field, the birds of the sky, and the cattle of the earth are all my possession. An east wind rises and dries up the west, and in the last days the Red Sea shall be shaken and vanish by the command of Yah, who approaches in power and awe. For he rules both the dead and the living, and that sea shall be struck down along with Sheba, Noba, India, Ethiopia, and every border and region. He sees all things from his high and incorruptible throne. His authority surpasses every other, and he preserves his assemblies within the shelter of his dominion. And to him belongs all authority above every other. His kingdom surpasses all kingdoms. His rule covers the entire world, for he is able, and nothing is too hard for him. He commands the clouds in heaven, causes grass to grow for the animals on earth, and brings forth fruit on the branches. He feeds every creature according to his will, providing food and fruit to all he has made, even the ants and locusts below the ground, the cattle, the wild beasts, and to the one who prays. He gives what was asked. He does not overlook the cry of the orphan or the widow. For the rebellion of the wicked is like a swirling wind, and the plans of the unjust are like a thick fog. But he listens to the humble and to those who come before him in purity. Their bodies are fleeting like a bird in flight, their beauty like silver or gold that will perish. Judgment will come upon those who remembered their riches, but forgot Yah's law, and moths will consume their clothing. Weevils will devour the wheat and the full heads of barley. All of it will fade like a day gone by, and like a word once spoken that never returns. So too is the wealth of sinners, and their luxury is but a passing shadow. Before Yah, a sinner's riches are as a blood-stained rag. But those who are kind will be honored, and Yah will not overlook them, for they were honored when they showed mercy to the poor. They listened to the cries of the afflicted and the orphan, and Yah will not forget them, for they cared for others without neglecting their own children, clothing the naked with garments Yah gave, sharing with the suffering and the stranger. They do not twist the justice of the righteous, nor withhold a worker's wages. For Yah's standards are truth and honor, sharp as a two-edged sword. They commit no injustice in their seasons, nor in their weights and measures. Chapter 26. But the poor will reflect in the quiet of their beds, and if the rich refuse to accept them, they will be like dry wood without moisture. For a root cannot thrive without water, and a leaf cannot flourish without a root. Just as a leaf supports the flower and crowns the fruit, if the leaf withers, there will be no fruit. So too is belief to a person's life, for without faith, a person has no true goodness. If a person is strong in faith, he produces virtue, and Yah delights in the one who walks in truth and uprightness. To the one who seeks him, he will grant their request and answer their words, and he will not deny the righteous their due for the true work they have done. For Yah is faithful, and because he loves what is true, he will not acquit sinners who refuse to repent because of their evil deeds. And as every soul belongs to him and is under his rule, the one who reigns over heaven and earth, he will not show partiality to the rich over the poor at the time of judgment. He will justify no one without repentance. Chapter 27. He brought all creation from non-existence into life. He alone formed the hills and mountains. He set the earth upon the waters, and to keep the sea from overflowing, he marked its boundaries with sand. For in his very first word, Yah said, "Let there be light." Light came forth when the world was still covered in darkness. Yah created all things. He prepared the world and secured it as his rightful possession. He commanded, "Let the evening be dark." And again Yah said, "Let there be light." And light broke through the dawn. Then he raised the waters above toward heaven. He stretched them out like a canopy. He fixed them in place with wind. And he gathered the lower waters into the depths. He enclosed the sea with borders of sand. And by his authority he kept the waters in balance, lest they overtake the land. Within them he placed animals and great creatures, Leviathan and Behemoth, and countless other beasts, both visible and hidden. On the third day Yah caused the earth to bring forth plants, every kind of root, tree, and fruit-bearing plant, and the beautiful garden for his creatures to behold. He made the garden delightful to look upon and pleasant to taste. He created grass and all seed-bearing plants to provide food for birds, livestock, and wild animals. Then came dusk and dawn, and on the fourth day he said, "Let there be lights in the heavens," the cosmos. Yah created the sun, the moon, and the stars, placing them in the heavens to shine upon the earth and to mark the times of day and night. From that time, the moon, sun, and stars have alternated between night and day. And on the fifth day, Yah created every living creature in the waters and every bird that soars in the sky, all that can be seen and all that cannot, all of it. And on the sixth day he brought forth the livestock, the wild creatures, and all the rest. And after all was made and arranged, he formed Adam in his own likeness and image. To Adam he gave authority over every beast and animal he had made, yes, even over the creatures of the sea, Leviathan and Behemoth included. He gave into his care every cow upon the earth and every sheep, the ones that are visible and those unseen. Then he placed Adam in the garden, the one he made in his image, so that he might eat, tend the plants, and lift praises to Yah. And to guard his command he warned, "On the day you eat from this fig herb, you shall surely die." He gave him a charge not to eat from the fig herb, for it brings death, revealing both good and evil, and leads to perishing. But my mother Eve was deceived by a cunning serpent, and she took from that fig herb, and gave it also to my father Adam. And when Adam ate of that herb, death came upon both him and all his descendants, because he broke the command and ate from the fig herb of which Yah said, "Do not eat." Yah was angered with Adam and drove him out of the garden. He sent him into the land that yields thorns and thistles, cursed on his account, so that by sweat and hardship he would labor to feed himself. And when Yah sent him to that place, Adam was filled with sorrow, yet labored and toiled, breaking the soil, eating only through effort and pain. Chapter 28. And after Adam's children multiplied and spread, some among them honored and praised Yah, keeping his command without breaking it. From among them came prophets, who spoke of things past and things yet to come, but also sinners who lied and committed injustice. Cain, Adam's firstborn, turned wicked and killed his brother Abel. Yah brought judgment upon Cain for murdering Abel, and he cursed the earth because it had opened to receive Abel's blood. Yah said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" Cain, proud in his heart, replied, "Am I my brother's keeper?" Abel was a man of purity, but Cain became a man of sin by shedding the blood of his own kind-hearted brother. Then Seth, a righteous child, was born. Adam fathered 60 children in total. Some were good, others evil. Among them were those who were upright, and those who were prophets, but also betrayers and transgressors. There were those who were blessed and righteous, who walked in the ways of their father Adam and upheld the teachings he passed to Seth, from Adam down to Noah, who was faithful and kept Yah's law. And Noah taught Yah's law to his children, warning them to keep it and not break it, and to pass it on just as he had received it from his father, so that they too would guard Yah's law. And they lived on, teaching their sons and their sons' sons, continuing for generations after them. But Satan was active in those days, speaking through the ancestors, dwelling in grave-bound idols tied with binding oaths. And he overcame those who agreed with him, leading them to do all that he, the master of sin, commanded. And they lived according to his ways, worshipping idols as was their custom, until the coming of a righteous man, Abraham, who upheld Yah's covenant. For Abraham had walked in the law even before he was set apart from his kin, and Yah made an oath with him, sealed with wind and fire. Yah promised to give him a land to inherit, and to bless him with descendants that would endure forever. And he made the same promise to Isaac, giving him the inheritance of his father Abraham, and to Jacob he did likewise, granting him the inheritance of his father Isaac. From Jacob's line he set apart their children, forming the 12 tribes of Israel, and made them kings and priests, blessing them. Be blessed, and as countless as the sand by the sea. He gave them their ancestral inheritance, but though he fed and loved them, they continued to fall short and grieve Yah in every way. Yet when he brought judgment upon them, they would seek him again in worship, turning from their sin to draw near to Yah, because he loved them, and Yah forgave them. For he is good to all he has made, and he forgave them not because of their own deeds, but because of the faithfulness of their fathers. He stretches out his right hand generously to fill the hungry, and shows mercy with his eye, causing grain to flourish and satisfy the people. He provides food for the young crows and for the beasts that call upon him. In their cries he hears them. And he delivers the children of Israel from the hands of enemies lying in wait. Yet they fall back into sin, grieving him once more. So he stirs up their enemies within their borders, and those enemies destroy, slay, and take them captive. Then they cry out to Yah in sorrow and lamentation, and in that hour he sends deliverance through the hands of prophets. At other times he saves them through leaders and princes. But when they grieved Yah again, their enemies conquered and enslaved them. Then David arose and rescued them from the Philistines. Yet once more they turned and offended Yah, and he stirred up nations against them to trouble them. There came a time when he delivered them through Jephthah, but again they forgot Yah, who had rescued them in their distress. Just as Yah sent hardship upon them, he raised up wicked enemies to oppress and enslave them completely. When they were worn down by tribulation and taken captive again, they cried out to him, and he saved them by the hand of Gideon. Yet once more they grieved Yah through their actions. And again he raised up foreign nations to oppress them, and they returned in tears and cries to Yah. Then he delivered them again through Samson's hand. They had peace for a while, but rose up once more in their former sin, offending Yah again. And once more he stirred up other nations to trouble them, and again they cried and wept to Yah, asking for deliverance, and he rescued them through the hands of Barak and Deborah. Again, for a brief time, they worshipped Yah, but once more they fell into their old sins and grieved him. So he raised up other nations to trouble them, but he delivered them again through the hand of Judith. Yet after a short while they returned to their sins, provoking Yah as they had before. He stirred up peoples to rule over them, and they cried out and wept to Yah, for he had struck down Abimelech, a warrior who came to fight in the land of Judah, and he saved them through the local children and through Matthias's hand. When that warrior fell, his army fled in panic, Israel's children, and pursued them as far as Jabbok, leaving not a single survivor. After this they paused for a time, but rose again in rebellion to grieve Yah. So he allowed nations to rule over them, and though they cried out and mourned, Yah turned away, for they had grieved him time after time, and broken his law. They were taken captive, along with their priests, and led into the land of Babylon. Yet even in exile, the traitorous children of Israel continued to sadden Yah, committing sin and worshipping false gods. Yah was angered and purposed to destroy them in their sin. Haman offered 10,000 talents of gold into the king's treasury. On that day he stirred wrath in King Ahasuerus' heart, urging him not to spare the children of Israel in the Persian realm from India to Ethiopia. And so it was done. He composed a decree in the king's name, stamped it with the royal seal to be sent throughout the Persian provinces. The seal was given into his hand, granting power to destroy them all in one day as he desired, following the king's command. When Haman promised that the people's gold and silver would be given into the king's treasury as reward. And when the children of Israel heard of this, they wept and cried out to Yah with all their hearts, and they reported it to Mordecai, and Mordecai passed it on to Esther. Then Esther said, "Fast, plead, and all you children of Israel, cry out to Yah from wherever you dwell." Mordecai put on sackcloth and covered himself in dust, and Israel's children fasted, prayed, and turned to repentance in the land where they were. Esther, deeply distressed, wore sackcloth, though she was queen. She covered herself in dust, shaved her head, and refused the perfumes worn by Persian royalty. And from her innermost being she wept and cried out to her Father and Creator, Yah. Because of this, Yah gave her favor before King Ahasuerus of Persia, and she held a banquet in honor of her father's name. Haman and the king came to the feast Esther had prepared, and just as Haman had planned to harm Mordecai, Yah turned the judgment upon him, and he was hanged on the high gallows. A new royal decree was issued so that no harm would come to Israel, as had been planned before. Neither were they to be taxed, robbed, abused, or have their goods taken. And Yah will forgive Israel when they return in repentance, so that they might be loved and respected in the Persian land where they lived. The royal letter also forbade the destruction of their land or the seizure of their livestock. Yet, when they grieve him again, he will raise up nations to trouble them. Then they will weep and cry for his help, and he will come to deliver them from the hands of their oppressors. Chapter 29. When the Egyptians forced the children of Israel into harsh labor, making them mold bricks in slavery, adding to their burden by withholding mud and straw, and requiring the bricks to be baked, they were driven hard by taskmasters set over them to hasten the work. They cried out to Yah, pleading to be delivered from the toil of making Egypt's bricks. Then Yah sent Aaron and Moses to help them, for he had chosen them to lead his people out from under Pharaoh's rule. And they delivered them from that bondage, because Pharaoh, in his pride, refused to release Israel to worship Yah in the wilderness. Yah sent his servants to rescue them from the king's power, and they brought them out. For Yah brings down the proud, and he drowned Pharaoh and his army in the Red Sea because of his arrogance. And just as he judged Pharaoh, so he will judge all who do not walk uprightly in the kingdoms where he has placed them. Kings and nobles who reject his word are to fulfill his covenant, giving due wages to those who serve in righteousness and honoring his holy name. Yah, the ruler of all, declared, "If they will set my kingdom in order, I will establish their kingdom in return. Do good works for me, and I will do good works for you. Keep my law, and I will watch over your bodies. Live faithfully in my law, and I will dwell in you with truth in your hearts. Love me, and I will love your well-being. Draw near to me, and I will bring healing to you." Yah, who rules over all, said, "Believe in me, and I will rescue you from your distress. Do not live in division, for Yah, who reigns, loves upright deeds." He said, "Come near to me, and I will come near to you. You sinners and betrayers, wash your hands from sin and turn your hearts away from evil. And I will turn away my anger from you, and I will return to you with mercy and forgiveness. I will drive out the lawless ones and enemies who seek to bring evil upon you, just as I delivered my servant David from those who rose against him, from the deep hatred of his foes, from the hand of the warrior Goliath, from King Saul, who tried to kill him, and from his own son Absalom, who sought to seize his throne. I will rescue those who keep my law and honor my covenant, as David did. I will bless them with honor, and they shall have peace and joy, both in this life and in the world to come. I will crown them, so they may rejoice. They shall stand with kings who served Yah and were honored in the beauty of their faithful lives, just as the prophet Samuel served Yah from his earliest days, whom Yah, being the law himself, chose. He was instructed to speak to Eli, the elder priest, and when he ministered in Yah's tabernacle, his service was marked by mercy and was beloved. As he grew in his service in Yah's holy place, Yah appointed and anointed him, so that he would guide the people and anoint kings by Yah's command. Because Yah loved him, he chose him from among Israel's children to appoint those whom he had selected. And Samuel fulfilled the covenant of Yah, his creator, and was entrusted with the anointing of kingship. And during Saul's reign, Yah said to his prophet Samuel, "Go, For I have chosen David, Jesse's son, from the tribe of Judah. Anoint him. Chapter 30. I rejected the house of Saul, because he grieved me by disobeying my word. I turned away from him, for he did not keep my law, and I will never again raise a king from his lineage. Those who, like him, do not uphold my law, my word, and my order, I will strip my kingdom and my gifts from their descendants forever. Because they failed to honor me, when I honored them, I will bring them down, and I will not lift them up again. Even though I once gave them glory, they refused to glorify me, so I will not make them renowned. They did not return my goodness when I showed them kindness, and they withheld mercy from me, even when I forgave them. When I made them rulers over many, they did not make me ruler over their hearts. And though I gave them honor above others, they did not give me honor in return. So I will not exalt or glorify them again, for they did not keep my law. I withdrew the gift I had given them, and I will not restore the blessing I withheld, according to the measure of my anger and oath. Yah, who rules all, has spoken. He says, I will honor those who honor me, and I will love those who love me. Those who refuse to honor me or obey my law, I will set them apart, away from the blessings I intended for them. Yah, who rules all, says, I love those who love me, and I will lift up the one who lifts me up. For I, Yah, rule over all. None can escape my authority in heaven or on earth. I am the one who kills and saves, who brings sorrow and grants forgiveness. Glory and honor belong to me alone. I bestow honor on those I love. I am the judge, the avenger, and the one who destroys, and I bring low those whom I reject. Yet I am the one who forgives those who love me and continually call upon my name. For I provide food for both the rich and the poor. I feed the birds and the beasts, the fish in the sea, the animals, and even the flowers. I do not only feed mankind. I feed crocodiles and whales, gophers and hippos, and even badgers, everything that dwells in the water, all that soar on the wind. I sustain them all. I do not feed only man. All creation belongs to me. I provide for all who seek me with what is right and fitting. Chapter 31. No king rules without my permission, and the humble are in their place by my decree. Even poverty comes not without my will, and the mighty rise by my word. But their strength is not their own, it is granted by me. I gave my love to David, and to Solomon I gave wisdom, and I extended the life of Hezekiah. I cut short the days of Goliath, and I gave strength to Samson, yet I also took that strength away. I delivered my servant David from the hand of Goliath, the great warrior, and again I rescued him from King Saul and from another warrior who rose against him, for he obeyed my command, and I saved him from every foe who fought against him. I loved David, and I love all nobles and kings who keep my law. Because they bring joy to me, I will give them power and victory over their enemies. And so that they may inherit the land of their fathers, I will grant them the purified and radiant inheritance I swore to give to their ancestors. Chapter 32. Yah, who rules over all, declares, You nobles and kings, listen to my word and obey my command. Do not grieve me by turning aside as the children of Israel did when they worshipped foreign idols, though I, Yah, their Creator, protected and delivered them. Yah, who rules all, says, Hear my word, all of you whom I raised, loved, and nourished from your youth. I sent them into a fruitful land. I fed them with the richness of the earth in abundance. I gave them vineyards and olive trees they did not plant, and flowing wells of clear water they did not dig. Hear my word, lest you sadden me as Israel did when they worshipped false gods, though I, Yah, am their maker, who fed them with sheep's milk and honeycomb and fine wheat, who clothed them in beauty and poured out my love upon them. Yet, because they did not return that love, I withheld from them all that they asked me for. Chapter 33. Just as David once said, the children of Israel were fed with manna dropped by angels. So now hear my word, and do not grieve me, as the children of Israel did when they worshipped idols. I, Yah, their Creator, fed them with sweet manna in the wilderness. I did all this so that they might worship me rightly and in truth. Yah, who rules all, declared, but they did not worship me. So I turned away from them, for they grieved me, and lived by the laws of gods that were not mine. I will bring upon them the punishment they deserve, according to their sin, because they abandoned my worship and did not walk in my counsel or keep my order. I gave them over to the full weight of their own sin, and I will bring them down to Gehenna under the certain judgment ordained in heaven. For they did not keep my law. So I will bring affliction upon them, and shorten their days upon the earth. If you are a king, are you not still a man who shall die and return to dust, and soon become worms and decay? Today you boast and act proudly, as if you would live forever. Yah, who rules all, declares that man who seems full of life today will be dead tomorrow. But if you keep my command and my word, I will give you a land of honor, shared with kings who obeyed my covenant, whose dwelling places are full of light, whose crowns are splendid, whose thrones are silver and gold, and who sit in beauty and glory. So says Yah. And they shall rejoice in peace within his land, a place near to those who lived by good and faithful works. But those who commit sin and did not keep my law, says Yah, who rules all, they are not worthy to enter the land where the honored kings shall dwell. Chapter 34. The kingdom of Media shall fall, but the kingdom of Rome will rise above that of Macedonia, and the kingdom of Nineveh will surpass that of Persia. Ethiopia's kingdom will overcome the kingdom of Iskindria, and new nations will rise. Moab's kingdom will dominate over the kingdom of the Amalekites. Brother will rise against brother, and Yah will bring vengeance and destruction, just as he has declared, so that all may come to ruin. Nation will rise against nation, people against people, land against land, so he has said. There will be divisions and widespread ruin, famine, plague, earthquakes, and drought. For love has vanished from the world, and Yah's chastisement has come upon it. For the day is coming suddenly when Yah will appear, striking fear like lightning flashing from the east to the west. On the day when Yah judges the earth, each person will face their due punishment according to the weakness of their hands and the weight of their sin. For he has said, I will repay them on the day of judgment, the day when there is no escape, for their hour of destruction has come. Then Yah will cast forever into Gehenna those who refuse to live by his law, those who persist in sin. This includes the peoples of the Western Isles and those in Noba, India, Sheba, Ethiopia, and Egypt, all who dwell in those regions. In that day they will know that I am Yah, ruler of heaven and earth, who grants love and honor to souls, and who alone saves and destroys. I am the one who sends forth the sun, who directs it to its setting, who brings both good and evil upon the earth. I am the one who raises up foreign nations you do not know, who will come and destroy, consuming all your hard-earned possessions, your flocks of sheep and your cattle. They will take your children captive and strike them down before your eyes, and you will not be able to save them. For Yah's spirit of support will not dwell in you, because you did not fear or obey Yah's command when it was spoken to you. He will bring ruin to your wealth and inheritance. But the one in whom Yah's spirit of support dwells will understand all things, just as Nebuchadnezzar said to Daniel, Yah's spirit of support is in me, and he has revealed this. A person who has Yah's spirit of support within him will understand all. What is hidden will be made known to him. He will perceive all that has been revealed and all that remains secret. For nothing is hidden from the one in whom Yah's spirit dwells. But as for me, a man who will die tomorrow, my hidden sins and deeds will be uncovered. Just as silver and gold are tested in fire, so too shall sinners be examined on the day of the Lord, for they did not keep Yah's command. On that day, all peoples and every deed among the children of Israel will be brought into judgment. Chapter 35. Because you did not judge righteously or defend the orphan, Yah brings affliction upon you. Woe to you, nobles of Israel! Woe to those who go to drinking houses morning and night, getting drunk, who show partiality in judgment and ignore justice for widows and orphans, who dwell in sin and seduction. Yah said to the nobles of Israel, unless you walk in my command, keep my law, and love what I love, woe to you! I will bring upon you ruin, correction, and suffering. You will be consumed like what beetles and moths devour. Your footsteps and your dwelling will vanish. Your land will become desolate, and those who once looked upon it will clap their hands in shock. They will marvel and say, wasn't this the land once full of abundance and highly desired? Yah has brought her low because of the sins of those who lived in her. They will say, because she became proud in heart, lifted herself up and hardened her neck, Yah has humbled her in the earth. She is now a wasteland, ruined by the pride of those who dwelt within her, and thorns and thistles have overtaken her. Woe to her! Now she grows weeds and nettles. She has become a barren desert. Wild beasts will make their home there. For Yah's judgment rests upon her. She will drink from the cup of his wrath because of her arrogance and the wickedness of those within her, and she will become a place of dread for all who pass by. Chapter 36. People of Midian, do not boast, for Yah is present, and he will bring your destruction. Amalekites, do not harden your necks in pride. Though you may rise high as the heavens, you shall be brought down to Gehenna. When Israel once entered the lands of Egypt, Moab, and the kingdom of Midian, he warned them, do not boast, for you cannot deceive Yah with empty words. You, descendants of Ishmael, a servant child, why do you set your heart on an inheritance that is not yours? Do you not know that Yah will judge you when he rises to judge the earth on the day appointed for your judgment? Yah, who rules all, says, on that day you will receive your punishment in measure to your deeds. Why do you claim innocence? Why do you lift yourself up in defiance? I will deal with you just as you dealt with those who were not your people. For you chose what you loved, and it was sin. And I will forsake you in the very place you were sent. Yah, who rules all, declares, I will do this to you. But if you do what is right and love what I love, then I will hear your every plea. And if you keep my covenant with me, I will keep my promises to you. I will trouble your enemies for your sake, and I will bless your children and your descendants. I will increase your sheep and cattle. And if you live faithfully in my command and do what pleases me, Yah, who rules all, says, I will bless everything you possess. But if you do not keep my covenant, if you do not stand firm in my law and my command, then every hardship previously spoken will come upon you. For you did not endure suffering in faithfulness to my command, and you did not walk thoroughly in my law. Therefore you will not escape the wrath that will continually fall upon you, because you did not love what I love, even though I am the one who created you, bringing you from death into life. I gave all this into your hands, the power to kill and to heal, to build and to destroy, to honor and to humble, to raise up and to bring down. Yet you neglected my worship and my praise, even though I gave you authority and honor above others under your rule. You will not escape the wrath that I will pour out upon you. But if you follow Yah's covenant and live by his commands, he will love you, so that you may rejoice with him in his kingdom and share in the inheritance of those who dwell in the honored land. For he has declared, if they remain in me, I will bless them and honor them. I will give them joy in my temple, where prayers are lifted. For Yah, who rules all, has said, they shall be loved and chosen, like a worthy offering. Do not neglect to do what is good and beneficial, so that you may pass from death into life. For those who do good works, Yah will preserve them in every good work, so they may serve him as Job did, whom Yah protected from tribulation. Yah will guard them in righteous work, so they may be his faithful servants, like Abraham, whom he delivered after he defeated the kings, and like Moses, whom he saved from the hand of the Canaanites and from Pharaoh's grip. Abraham had lived among them and was afflicted day and night as they sought to make him bow to idols, but when they brought him before their idols, over which they ruled, he endured suffering and refused to yield. For Abraham trusted in Yah from his youth. He was Yah's faithful friend. Though he was pressured, he remained steadfast in worshiping the one who created him. Because he truly loved Yah, he never ceased worshiping him until his death, and he never strayed from his law. He taught his children to keep Yah's law as well. Just as their father Abraham kept Yah's law, so did his descendants. They did not turn aside from his commands, just as Yah once told his angels, I have a friend in this world named Abraham. His children, Isaac and Jacob, whom Yah also spoke of as his servants, remained faithful to his law. Yah, who is praised alongside them and rules over all, declared, Abraham is my friend, Isaac is my confidant, and Jacob is my beloved, the one my heart delights in. Yet, when he loved the children of Israel, they lived on in disobedience and continually grieved him. Still, he was patient and provided for them, feeding them manna in the wilderness. Their garments did not wear out. He fed them manna, the bread of wisdom, like injera, and their feet never swelled. But their hearts always turned away from Yah. They were sinners from ancient times and had no real desire to be saved. They became like a warped bow, unlike their fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who served Yah with beautiful lives. They grieved him continually, worshipping idols on the high places, eating in hilltop groves, caves, and shrines. They would slaughter cattle and offer sacrifices, finding joy in the works of their own hands. They would eat what remained of their offerings, drink the blood, and dance before demons while singing. The demons took pleasure in their songs and games. They indulged in drunkenness and adultery without restraint, committing robbery and greed that Yah hates. They worshipped the idols of Canaan and Midian, Baal, Asherah, Dagon, Seraphion, and Artemides, the Greek gods. And they sacrificed to the idols of every nation around them. All of Israel worshipped idols just like the surrounding peoples, offering treasures to what they could see and hear, celebrating with noise, songs, and revelry. All the tribes of Israel have done the same. They say, "We will worship Yah," yet they do not keep his command or his law which Moses gave them at Horeb, instructing them to follow Yah's ways and turn away from idolatry, so that they would not worship strange gods instead of their Father and Creator, who gave them honey from manna, fed them grain from the land, and brought them into the richness of the earth, who nourished them with heavenly bread. Moses warned them, saying, "Do not worship other gods, for he alone is the Creator, and he provides for those who love him. He will not withhold from those who desire him." But they continued to grieve Yah, even in the very moments when he made them joyful. And when he afflicted them, they would cry out to him, and he would deliver them from the suffering that overtook them. And they would return to joy and live in peace for many years. Yet in time, they would turn their hearts again to sin and grieve Yah as before. And he would stir up neighboring nations to rise against them, bringing destruction, burden, and oppression. Then once more they would truly turn and cry out to their Creator, Yah, and he would forgive them, not because of their own deeds, but for the sake of their fathers, Noah, Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob, who served Yah with beautiful and faithful lives from ancient times, to whom he gave his oath. And Yah loves those who keep his law, and because of this he blesses them, multiplying their descendants like the stars in the heavens and the sand on the seashore. But when the dead are raised, those as countless as the sand of the sea, among them will be the souls of sinners, separated from the children of Israel and cast into Gehenna. As Yah once said to Abraham, "Look up at the night sky and count the stars if you can." In the same way he said, "Your children and the righteous shall shine in heaven like the stars." These stars represent the righteous souls born from Israel. And again he said, "Look down at the riverbank and the shore. Try to count the grains of sand. In the same way, so shall your sinful descendants be, who will descend into Gehenna at the resurrection of the dead. They are the souls of sinners." Abraham believed Yah, and because of that it was counted to him as righteousness. He found assurance in this life, and even when his wife Sarah was old, she gave birth to a son named Isaac. For he believed that those who do good works shall rise and enter the kingdom of heaven, living forever, and they shall inherit the heavenly kingdom. And he also believed that those who do evil shall go to Gehenna to dwell in everlasting judgment when the dead are raised. But the righteous who live by good works shall reign with Yah forever. He believed that final judgment will be done in truth, with no deceit, for sinners will be judged justly, and the righteous shall find eternal life in the kingdom of heaven. Give glory and praise to Yah, the true one without falsehood. And thus, the first book that speaks the words of Meqabyan is completed and fulfilled.